Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 206th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and we have a stellar panel as usual joining us this Sunday evening. Adam Smith, the betting guru's on the line. Adam's just dropped off, just as I said that. Thanks for that, Adam. To Dave Lowback, Andy Patterson, Richard Allen, who was at the show last night, has joined us. Tommy the Guru Allen, and also special guest, star amateur, about to turn professional, Michael Conlon's on the line. Michael, what's happening? Can you hear us okay?
He's on mute.
Michael, you might need to unmute yourself there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. What's happening? You okay?
All good, man. All good. What's the crack?
Not much. You've got Donny Baseball joined on the line as well, so plenty of Americans as well to keep us occupied. Michael, I'll go to you first, actually, seeing as you're our special guest. I'm assuming you watched the AJ fight last night. What did you make of the main event between him and Molina?
I didn't even. I went to bed after the Sora fight, and I just watched the highlights. Listen, Joshua was level above all these guys, and he's pointless fighting him now. And he needs to fight someone who's going to kind of test him and make him a better name.
Yeah, I mean, afterwards they got Klitschko in the ring and all that, and that I think that was to sort of make people feel a little bit better about the fact they paid 20 quid, by saying, "Oh, here we go, we've got the big fight coming up next." But that's not really good enough if you're paying pay-per-view, is it?
No, I wouldn't say so. Listen, pay-per-view card was made up with the undercard. Like the undercard was special, but the main event just didn't turn up, and you want your money's worth, and that definitely wasn't last night.
Yeah, exactly. Keep with us. We'll obviously be asking you a few questions. We're not going to keep you for an eternity. We know you're a busy man and everything, but we'll ask you a few questions and hold it out to the panel as well as we go on in the evening. I'm going to bring Richard Allen in now. He was on the phone to us last week in the car. He went to the show last night. There he was in VIP enjoying himself. Richard, what about the show itself? The atmosphere was something you said, regardless of what was going on in the ring.
Yeah, I wasn't in VIP. My God, I haven't got that kind of money. But the atmosphere was really, really special. It was, they had the football fans in there. There's a lot of things that really surprised me. Firstly, how well people were dressed. People put all the finery on to basically go watch boxing, which was madness. And secondly, just how loud it was. So, I just expected that it was casual central. People just rock up, drunk out of their minds for 4 rounds. AJ pushes somebody over, everybody cheers, and everybody goes home happy. But the place was full from about half eight. It filled up about halfway through the Jose Burton Buglioni fight, and it just kept going from there. But yeah, it was. I'd definitely go again. It was really, really good night.
What about the fight itself, Joshua and Molina? It lasted 3 rounds. Molina barely threw a punch. Were you disappointed with the main event, the way it went down?
Well, it's one of those. If you know your boxing, you kind of knew that was going to happen. He wasn't in great shape. He did much the same against Wilder, but he managed to get a punch in early. He gave him a bit of a chance. He looked terrified the ring walk. You kind of knew it was coming. But I think, as I said last week, I was going more for the fact that it's the closest I'll ever get to see the heavyweight championship of the world on the doorstep, and the undercard looked pretty good. Just spent the money on it, and well happy that I did, to be frankly.
Andy, we've had it a bit too easy on Eddie so far. I don't even know why I'm laughing. I'm going to have to bring you in at some point, man. You're going to have to let the rage fly. Just tell me what you thought about Joshua Molina, first of all, man.
I think Molina should have his push with hell. He never done fuck all. That's about as hard as I'm going to go in the guy. I mean, because I wasn't particularly raging about the whole event. I mean, I was really pleased with the Buglioni stoppage, actually, because I backed him late, 5-2, just to win, actually. Stuck my last tenner on it, £35 return, so that was a good performance. Chisora White, obviously, great fight. I want to see a rematch, but this, obviously, I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. You had to kind of keep busy fight. Well, I knew it. We spoke about it beforehand, that the options at that time were probably shit and limited anyway. But, the Klitschko fight, I mean, it doesn't need a world title, attached to it. It is what it is. It's a good heavyweight fight, and I think it's one I'm really looking forward to, actually. I've seen a funny comment on Twitter earlier on there, actually. I think Carol Froch be standing outside Wembley counting the heads to make sure it didn't hit 80,000. Got to be, eh?
Yeah.
But nah, man, it was a poor main event. You expect more from like some Molina. He gave it his nuts, I suppose, against Wilder, but he just offered absolutely zero against Joshua last night. Klitschko will obviously present a different different proposition. Obviously, he's a bit more experienced. People, I would like to see what Eddie Hearn's going to be saying now, actually, as well, because Klitschko about 41 before the fight happens.
Mm.
They're going on about how when Fury beat him was a shit fight and stuff, so you'll need to big it up somehow. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight. Actually, I was really looking forward to it. Kind of like, so, for this year, obviously it never happened. Klitschko getting injured or whatever. But get it on, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
Michael, we have you on mute at the moment, so if you want to unmute yourself. But whenever you were deciding to turn pro, you spoke to everybody. Frank and Top Rank obviously decided to go with them in the end. Golden Boy were sniffing after you as well. Eddie Hearn, were you ever tempted at any point to go with Eddie? And looking at the way it went last night, pay-per-view, big arenas, was Matchroom something that excited you, or you were tempted by going to them? Michael, you're on mute at the moment, man.
Got me now?
Yeah, got you now. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I think I would have been tempted to go Matchroom, but Eddie didn't come knocking, and I think he likes fighters that go to him, so he kind of has the upper hand in the negotiations. But I want someone who's going to want me, and the fact that he didn't come to me, it just made a decision for me, and I wasn't going to go and like a Zarsh or go and like hound him to try and get what I wanted. I wanted someone to come to me and offer me what I want. So the fact that he didn't come was his option closed.
And what were Top Rank offering you that the others weren't, that made you decide to go with them in the end? I mean, apart from the obvious, you've got Bob Arum and Todd DeBerth doing a great job. What really sealed the deal for you?
I think, everything about Top Rank is what it is. Everybody knows their history and what to do with Olympians and the path to kind of choose for people. But when they told me the path they wanted me to have, and for the debut to be in Madison Square Garden, and obviously the sign on and the purses, all this stuff, it all added up, and it was an easy choice. For me, I believe they are the best team in boxing, and you have Bob Arum, Todd DeBuff, Carmeretti, all the guys. All the guys are great guys who are bringing people to the top. So I think that with Emmons, I'll definitely be a world champion, and it could be a world champion as quick as I possibly want.
Mm-hmm. Just before I bring Donny Baseball into the equation, you said you were close to signing with Frank Warren. He was one of the guys who interested you. What was it you liked about Frank?
I don't know. I think it maybe was the home comfort, and obviously Frank was offering decent money, and it was being home and fighting on shows, and then I could have been the face of really BT as well for him, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you look at Frank's track record and Top Rank's track record, it doesn't match. So I just picked the better team.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Right, Donny Baseball's on the call. I know that the women like hearing Donny Baseball on a Sunday night, so we're going to get him in without further ado. Donny, regarding this AJ Molina fight, we've had a message in on the Facebook page from James Joyce, and he's not very happy. Actually, a lot of people are using us as an outlet to express their disgust. And James Joyce was saying this, Donny, he says, Klitschko in the ring after the fight, trying to get the crowd going, a fucking embarrassment. Minus charisma. His clothes didn't help. Think AJ's fried these days, but we all know he's a boring cunt. Did you like the Klitschko thing at the end, Donny?
Well, what I had a problem with is ostensibly the story that we were all told, if I remember correctly, was that the reason why the Klitschko Joshua fight wasn't going to come off was the absence of the WBA title. And now the fight's going to go forward without a title, which to me just proves they're interested in making one more payday, sort of ripping people off for a totally outclassed opponent just one more time before they put him in there with somebody who can actually hit back with real skills and everything like that. So I think, obviously I'm in the United States. I didn't have to pay for it, but I would have been felt like I really got taken for a ride if I had. It was a it was like, yeah, like you said, it was like it's like apologizing for taking your money. It was pretty pathetic in my view, and I don't blame people for being rather riled up about it.
You paid pay-per-view to bring Klitschko over to a Royal Hotel and eat out the finest minge possible, by the way. That's all that was for.
Doesn't he still have the cheerleader minge from Heroes? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I was wondering if I can ask Mick a question.
He's on mute. He's on mute.
Yeah, Mick's going to take. Mick, if you want to take yourself off mute, Donny Baseball, one of our contributors, is going to ask you a question.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering. I was excited when you signed with an American promoter, especially one, as major as Bob Arum. And I was wondering what's, to the extent that you guys have already talked about it, what's your plan going forward with terms of how you're going to build your career on either side of the Atlantic? Are you going to kind of fight in both places? Or are you going to start off in America, move back, come back forward? And what is the plan there?
We're going to start in America, and we're going to have at least one fight a year in Ireland or the UK. We haven't picked a place or date yet, but once the ball gets rolling after the first fight, I'm sure as hell we'll have the plans in. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think America is the bigger market, and I believe I'll be able to crack it.
And, I think in my experience, there's a large number of Irish expats in New York too, and of course, the fans travel well as well. So, I've been in New York when Shawnee Monahan's fighting, or when I was also there for Macklin Martinez. And those arenas were always packed out, and it's like you don't even realize that there's all these Irish people in New York. There's a ton of them, So I think they form a really enthusiastic base.
There's over 900 people coming already from Belfast, and the theatre only holds something like 4,500 to 5,000 or something. So, Madison Square Garden Theatre isn't a huge venue, but for a debut and for me, it's going to be massive, and that's where Macklin fought Martinez. So.
Yeah, and Golovkin was fighting in the theater against Curtis Stevens 2 years ago, and look where he is now, right? So I mean, if you're already fighting in front of a full theater, that's a damn good start.
Yeah, and I definitely think it will be full too. If there's at least about 1,500 coming from Ireland, I reckon by the end of by coming up towards the date, I think. With the rest of the guys from over there, and more guys come from the UK and stuff, I think it'll definitely be sold out. Yeah,
well, that's fantastic, and best of luck to you.
Mick, what weight you turning pro at, mate?
Super bantamweight.
Super bantamweight?
Super bantam. I'll do super bantam. I'll win a world title super bantamweight, and then I'll move up to featherweight.
And what sort of time frame are we looking at, Mick? Because obviously I'm not looking at Lomachenko timescales or anything, but you said that Top Rank are letting you have a lot of the input into how quickly or how slowly you want to be moved along.
Yeah. So we're just going to judge it by fight. We'll see how the first fight goes, and I'll take advice from Macklin, from a team, and then from Top Rank and Crumpler and stuff, who's the best matchmaker in the business. And we'll see what's going to be the next steps and how quick we want to move. And if I feel I'm ready to move very quick, I'll move very quick. I think 2 years I'll have a world title, definitely.
I see that guy Scott Quick fought last night. Actually, he's ranked in about the top 12 of the WBO. Just for fact thrown out there. How shit did he look last night, by the way?
He's like a punch bag.
Oh, Jesus God.
He was bad, but he's put in front of someone. You have to do the job, and thank God he got him out there, because it was a bore fest up until that. He was just punching ahead of him.
What do you think of Quigg as a fighter, Michael?
I think Quigg's decent. I do. I think he's decent. He seems like he has a bit of power, and you can see he lacks the amateur experience in his technique and how he does things, but his hard work makes up for it. And obviously he's done well. He's went and got himself in the positions he got himself. He fought hard, and he lost, but he's still done a good job towards the last 3 rounds anyway. But in his other fights, he's looked decent enough.
Mm-hmm. Just before we bring Richard Allen back in to talk about the undercard, because I know Richard has to get going because he's nursing a hell of a hangover, apparently. I want to bring in David Loback, the official voice of American boxing. Dave, do you want to ask Michael a couple of questions, you said?
Yeah, just briefly, I think it was a good choice you made going with Top Rank. I mean, they're the most proven of any current big promoter to have a track record of actually building stars, taking them from 0 wins and making them into something. Whereas Al Heyman and such just kind of capitalize on stars that are already made. But have you actually met the Bob father in person yet?
Yeah, I met him. I met him when I was in Vegas when I signed the contracts and stuff, and he was the one that came up with the idea to give the finger in the picture when I was signing the contract.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Zero fucks he gives, eh?
He's brilliant. He's some crack. So
Well, I think that was a fabulous what you did there to Aiba once you got robbed in the Olympics. And I think that personality will take you far. I just have to have the get the wins to go with it, obviously. But do you have a specific plan as far as who you want? Like, how do you see your career unfolding? Do you have like any like sort of long-term dreams for who you want to fight, who you see yourself beating in the future?
I wouldn't say there's no one there's no one in my head. Yeah, I just want belts and I want titles, and I want to be a three division champion, and I do believe I'll do that because I'm 5'7", 5'8", 5'7", 5'7.5", I'd say, and I'll get myself down in the super bantamweight. I'll probably be naturally a featherweight, but I'll push myself in the super featherweight, and I definitely believe I have the ability to go and win world titles in all three weights.
And you were saying before, Michael, that regarding the giving the finger, everyone's coming up to you now and asking for selfies with the finger. You're getting a bit fed up with it?
I was fed up with it there, but you know what? I think I've just gotta roll with it, and if people want to get the pictures, they can get the pictures. I was trying to get away from it because I just don't want to be remembered for the guy who gave the finger in the Olympics. That's not me. I'm more than that. I'm a world amateur champion. I'm a Commonwealth champion, European champion. I've won so many titles. Bronze medal Olympics in 2012. And all I'll be remembered for is giving the finger from the amateurs. I do want to get away from that, but listen, it's a good it's probably a good thing to run on for PR and stuff. So I might just keep it and just start getting T-shirts made and stuff.
You can do. Well, I mean, regarding the Olympics itself, now that dust has settled and you've moved on, how do you see it in hindsight now? How do you view the whole debacle?
Shambles. I think it's the same. It is what it is. What happened, and what I said is what I said, and I still stand by it. If I was in the position now where I am, and I look back, what I said again, 100%, I would probably do it 10 times worse than what I've done. I probably would have said a lot more, but what can you do? It's over and done with. I believe they're getting new people in, and they're going to change it up, and hopefully they do, because I wouldn't like any other kid coming up to feel what I felt in them games. Having the dream away of being Olympic champion, which I was on course for. I had won the Commonwealth, the European, the World. All I needed was the Olympics to have all the gold you can get in the senior international level, and it was ripped away from me.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, is that and I could feel like I think the emotion in a situation like that would almost be worse than taking a really bad professional loss, because if you're in a title fight or something and you get robbed and everybody sees it on national television, there's going to be strong pressure for a rematch, or at the very least, there's another titleist you can go off and target, and you can sort of right that wrong. But I mean, you kind of give up 4 years of not making money, 4 years of not turning pro, and then to finally get to that ultimate stage when you're so close to a medal, and then just get robbed like that. It's like, well, geez, I could have all those 4 years back. I mean, was that really make it even more emotionally like heart-wrenching?
It wasn't even about the 4 years, because in them 4 years I learned so much, and I achieved so much, and I gained so much experience, which I can't knock. It's set me in a brilliant position for turning professional. Though the thing that killed me most is what I knew it was my last amateur tournament, and I knew the Olympic medal was the only medal I needed to get. The Olympic gold medal was the only medal I needed to get to finish off the set, which no one from my country has done. I don't really think anybody from Europe has done. I'm not too sure. And the way it was ripped away from me, and when I think back of previous decisions that happened to me in the past, and I didn't do nothing, it was all just building up, because I wanted to do things in the past, but I never did. And once it hit that moment, it's hard to explain. It was just a feeling that I felt like someone died in my family. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean, but you don't regret, though, you think that in other words, having those 4 years of extra time to develop in the amateurs made you more technically complete fighter?
Yeah, technically complete. Back in 2012, after after London when I got the bronze. I was 52 kilo flyweight, and I was inexperienced. I'd only been on. I had only turned international a year before, and I went and grabbed a bronze medal in the games. So I definitely needed more experience, and I was still a boy. I wasn't mature, even though I was 20. I wasn't mature. I was very, very weak. I feel in them 4 years I've gained a lot of strength, a lot of maturity, a lot of experience, and I think that'll stand by me the rest of my career. I think maybe if I had turned pro back in 2012, it would have been too early, and mistakes could happen. Then I've learned all my mistakes in amateurs. Now I have no time for mistakes.
Speaking of another guy who's out there who is in your same division who hasn't signed with anybody just yet, was Stevenson. I was hoping we were going to see you guys fight. Unfortunately, that didn't come to pass, and of course, he lost to Ramirez in the final there. But I mean, first of all, have you ever heard any rumblings from him as to what he might do? And second of all, is that somebody you could see yourself fighting? I mean, I think that could potentially maybe someday be a great rivalry between the two of you.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm not too sure if he's going to say if there's a possibility he could be there with Top Rank also, so that would be good for me.
Yeah,
both of us in the same stable. It's a fight which is easily made when it needs to be made. But definitely, that could be my Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight. That could be a big money fight for me. So that's one I'm really looking forward to. I think he's a great fighter. He's young, but that could be another problem that he is young because. He is young and he's a bantamweight, super bantamweight now. I don't know if he's going to turn pro at featherweight, so he could move up through the divisions. I don't know.
Yeah, he may move up faster in weight because he's still developing physically. Yeah.
He was only a kid while he was 19 in the games, I think. So, hopefully not. Hopefully he stops growing. He stays a featherweight or a super bantamweight because that would suit me.
Well, I mean, you're pretty young yourself, just 25, which is good because it means you got some time to work with your pro career and make some money. But you're smart enough to know that you're heading almost from the frying pan into the fire here, from corruption into something that's also proven time and time again to be corrupt. Do you have any plans for how you're going to deal with possible instances of that?
That stuff isn't even in my head, and if something bad happened, corruption kind of stuff happened,
just knock him out. You see that? Then there's nothing.
It's going to be crazy if any of that crazy shit happens to me in the professional game. Just expect me to go probably crazy. Nah, being honest, I'll probably be a lot more mature with it. I'm growing up and learning from these experiences.
Mm-hmm. It's going to bring Andy Patterson back in. Andy, I believe you have a question about the Commonwealths.
Aye, Mick, I was at the final, mate. The final was when you won the gold and that. I think I was one of the first tournaments without the headguard, and you got badly cut. What do you think about the experience for the first time with fighting without the headguard on for a change?
It wasn't the fact. I think getting cut was because you're fighting for 3 rounds at a sprint.
Yeah.
And people are clashing heads in the pro game. It's not like that. It doesn't happen. I don't mind fighting without the head guards, and I don't mind getting cut. I got cut badly in the semi.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
And I went and fought in the final next day. You wouldn't be allowed to do that in the pro game. So, I don't know how you're allowed to do it in the amateur game, but I got 9 stitches or something in the inside, and then I got 14 on the inside and 12 or 9 on the outside. And I fought the next day with the ones I got stitched in the inside first, and then I got glued, and then I got cut out again and done again after the fight. But in the amateurs, I think because it is a sprint, and that was probably one of the first kind of major tournaments without the headgear on. It was a bit hard because people that know what to do, and they were just rushing in and crashing, especially a lot of the African countries. That's the kind of stuff that was happening, so it was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Michael, hold fire. Give us a couple of minutes. I'm just going to bring a couple of the other guys in, and then we'll ask you about your training setup and stuff in Los Angeles, and that, if that's okay.
No worries.
Excellent stuff. Right, I want to bring Richard Allen in before he scoots off. Richard, give us a word on the undercard last night. What stuck out for you and what was shit?
Burn Buglioni was amazing. White Chisora was good. Scott Quigg was just terrible. It was the most boring 9 rounds of my life. I think half the place just went and got as much beer as what could lay their hands on when that happened. Your fight was strange. I don't know what they're going to do with him in Birmingham because he brought a load of fans. There was loads there for him. they kind of invaded the ring after he won. If he had any kind of power, I think he could be a superstar. But he fought so well. I thought that was a really good fight as well. And that's about it, really. Taylor was pretty good. The whole thing, the whole event was based on that undercard with Anthony Joshua coming in to push somebody over. That's how I saw the entire card. I don't know how anybody else saw it. That's what I was paying the money for, and I went there with my eyes open for that. But yeah, Burton Buglioni, that's a rematch some point down the line. I assume they'll do that whenever the Linares Crawler rematch is mooted. So yeah, it was really good.
Excellent stuff, Richard. Thanks for joining us. Whenever you want to come on, give us a shout and we'll give you the link. All right, man?
Yeah, no worries, mate. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Cheers, Richard.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Bye-bye.
Richard Allen there was at the show last night. If anyone has any questions for Michael, then let me know and I'll bring you in next. First of all, Adam Smith, he's been quiet for long enough, too long, in my opinion. Adam, David O'Hara's thrown a question in. I want to give you this one if I can. He said it's not really a question, so much of a statement. He thinks that Anthony Joshua has 2 fights left with Matchroom. He thinks they'll be Vlad and Hay. Then he's free to self-promote. And then that proves David's point a month ago that Hay Bellew is just being created to delay the AJ versus Hay fight. What do you think about this, Joshua? Do you think he'll sack Eddie off once he's had the next couple of fights out of the way?
Well, I mean, the size that he's becoming now, popularity-wise and sales-wise, etc., there's always potential for that. I think he's building a bit of a team around him, all of his homeboys. I think they're more than hangers-on, to be fair. I think they actually do quite a lot of work and training together and different branding stuff and, the AJ brand and website and merchandise, etc. So he has got a little bit of a team there. But it still remains at the moment to be on Sky Sports pay-per-view. You need Edward Hearn. And for that, I think that it will continue for some time. It's quite clear that Eddie is giving AJ quite a lot of control, certainly more control than other fighters gets. We hear him say stuff like, it's AJ's decision about the undercard, and not last night, but the one before, I think they got Eubank on, and on AJ's say so, and it's AJ's card, etc., etc. So it does appear on the front of it that relationship between fighter and promoter is going pretty damn well. Obviously, they're both getting paid handsomely and will continue to do so. So I can't see it coming to an end for a little while. But yeah, if them 2 fights happen next year, they'll make millions and millions. And then he might wake up one day like Ricky Hatton did, like Prince did, like Joe Calzaghe did, and think, I can make more money doing this by myself. Easier said than done, that.
Easier said than done, says Adam. Kurt Ward's jumped on the line. The viewing figures have just rocketed as a result. Kurt, I know you would have been enjoying what you saw last night. Vladimir in his best gear, calling out the fans and trying to get them riled up for this fight on April the 29th. Just putting that to one side, the actual fight itself, Joshua against Molina, or anything on the undercard. What were your overriding feelings last night, Kurt, when you went to bed at 1 a.m?
Just extremely disappointed in Eric Molina, to be honest. I mean, let's have it right. No one expected him to win. But I think we all said before when he was chosen that at worst, he's a durable guy who will give it a go and he'll probably take his lumps and give AJ at least a few rounds. And from the opening battle, he just looked scared. He looked totally negative, and he looked totally different to the way he fought against Deontay Wilder. Even against Chris Arreola, he went for it and he hurt Arreola before getting stopped himself. I think the thing is, I said, one thing he's got, he's got power, and if he goes in there and gives it a go, you never know. But if he goes in there and just does nothing, then he hasn't got a chance, and that's exactly what he did. I don't know if he was just intimidated by Joshua, was just too much pressure by Joshua. I just don't know, but he seemed happy just to be there, and maybe he thought he could get a lucky shot in. I think the second or third round he tried a couple of right hands, they didn't really land, but yeah, just extremely disappointed in him. And happy to be proven wrong with the Dillian White-Derek Chisora fight. I thought that was going to be absolutely terrible. I thought both of them were going to be tired after about 3 or 4 rounds, and they're just going to be hugging the whole night. And full credit to both of them. They gave it absolutely everything. They fought like they disliked each other. And Chisora, I think that was his last hurrah. I thought he didn't have much left, but that he seemed to put everything into that fight. He obviously wanted to beat Dillian White badly. I think White just nicked it, to be honest. I think he did the better work in most of the rounds, to be fair to him, although I got no problem with Chisora getting it. But Yeah, that was a really good fight, and like I said, I was shocked by it, but a great fight there, and obviously with the Buglioni Burton fight as well, another good fight. And it's just a shame, I don't know if you spoke about the pay-per-view, but how good it would have been if White and Chisora and Buglioni Burton were just on a regular Saturday show, just those two fights. It'd be great, and just sad that these fights have to be on pay-per-view. But I didn't see any of the other fights, to be honest. But yeah, those three fights, and Joshua did what he did, and let's hope that the Klitschko fight will tell us a lot about Anthony Joshua. That's the thing, whatever happens, and whatever you think of Klitschko, obviously his best days are behind him, but it's still a massive jump in class from what he's been fighting, and he'll tell us a lot about Joshua, I think, because so far Dillian White's the only guy to hit him back, and I think Klitschko is going to hit him. So let's see what he's got.
With the pay-per-view, them fights that you mentioned, Buglioni, Burton, Chisora, White, and probably Yafai Conception, they're all makeable Saturday night fights. But yeah, I quite enjoyed the show as a whole. But I was sat there from literally about 5:45 until gone midnight. I mean, that's not ideal for a young, a rich, and attractive person like me on a Saturday night. I just want 2 hours. I don't necessarily want 6 hours, but that's what we have to do. I thought the White and Chisora fight was entertaining. I expected it to be crap, to be honest, like as Kurt said. But the quality wasn't great, was it? I mean, neither of them have got any power. Neither of them, especially Dillian White, cannot throw a right hand. They was both gassed after 5 rounds. But the one thing that they did do is put it all on the line. So you've got to give fair play to them. I had White just nicking it, but I agree with Kurt. Could have gone either way. And then I thought Yafai was superb. I mean, Conception, he was far too happy. He was far too happy when he came in overweight. He was far too happy during the fight when he was losing. He was far too happy after the fight when he's doing fucking backflips off the rope. I mean, for a champion and someone who's travelled as much as he did, been involved in some brilliant fights as he has, just to let it all wash down the drain, it was a very curious, week that he's had. And Yafai closed him down that much that I actually was watching it like something was amiss. It almost, I was disappointed in Conception, obviously, but it just felt a little bit boring actually at times. And that's what that must be to me. That must be props to Yafai for being so damn good. And he just shut him down, didn't he? It was brilliant performance, really.
Mm-hmm. Smido, just before you run off too quickly, just going back to Chisora briefly, you mentioned about Derek there, and the Boxing Inquirer was asking a question, actually. I thought I might hit you with this one. He says, do you think that Chisora is unfairly punished in comparison to other fighters? The way White made all those threats, Dillian White, David Hay with the punch and that. Do you think that Chisora is unfairly treated, or is it just one ring crime too many?
There's definitely an element of his ad. There's been too many instances, both in Germany and Britain. There must be some sort of totting up procedure there that he's had, possibly budging towards double figures of incidents, some more serious than others. But yeah, I think there is an element of getting overly punished. He's a little bit of a nomad in terms of promotion. He seems to not be that bothered when he takes the consequences on the chin, kind of thing. He doesn't cry foul. He's admitted that he's paid fines before, and he's not really that arse, which is fair enough. He's basically leaked that Eddie's paid this fine. So yeah, I think there's a bit of an element of both. But he has done some daft things in his time, and I thought the table thing was it created a lot of views and talk, but it was silly, very silly.
Mm-hmm. Michael, we've had a few questions flying in through you. A lot of the listeners pleased that you're on, so thanks for coming on again, man. First of all, Jamie Joyce has thrown one in, quite simple and to the point. He says, can you ask Mick what year does he think he'll win a world title?
2019.
2019. There you are, Jamie. Go and stick your money on for 2019. No doubts whatsoever. A question from Rio. He says, can you ask Michael, how good was Ryan Lindbergh and why he never turned pro? He beat your brother, Frampton, Quigg and Campbell in the amateurs.
Ram was before my time, just before my time. I never really watched much Ram, but he was good in the amateurs. Like, I seen him when he beat Frampton and he beat Jamie, and he was very good in the nights. And then the night I seen him, he lost to John Nevin. I think that was just the decline of him. Once Nevin beat him, I don't think he could get back into it. Nevin was an exceptional talent, but that was the only reason, you know.
Mm-hmm. This is a question of my own. Actually, I'll throw in while we're at it. What about Eric Donovan? He turned pro. Do you think Eric will do okay?
Eric's going to do okay, I think, definitely. You know, Eric's got a lot of talent, and you know, he hits precisely. Like, he can hit you in places where he wants to hit you. So his body shots are great, and you know, if he's moved fast enough, he could do well.
Just going back to yourself, you were there out in Los Angeles doing the pads and stuff, seeing if you gelled with your new trainer, Manny Robles. I haven't spoken to you since. How did things go out there?
Everything went brilliant. You know, I'm definitely going to be training Manny. It started to gel with him as soon as I met him, and you know, I usually don't get that with a coach. It takes me 2 to 3 weeks to get used to doing pads and stuff. If I haven't done pads with someone, but him, it was like bang right away, straight into the gym. He had a good personality. He was a nice guy, and you know, he knows what he's doing. He's got 2 world champions here, my weight and the weight above me, so he knows what he's doing with a smaller fighters also. Plus, he's working with Jason Quigley, which is a bonus for me because he's an ex-Irish teammate. And,
Yeah,
you know,
Jason would have spoke to you, obviously, told you,
Yeah.
you know, he would have recommended Manny to you.
Yeah, definitely, Jason did, and you know, Jason talked very well of him, and you know, I've actually been watching Manny since he trained the like LA Matadors, WSB team,
Mm.
and you know, even back then, I heard good things about him, and now he's went on to the pro stage, and he's doing very good stuff with mainly later fighters, but he's got a few other fighters. He's got a man Dominic Brazil, whatever his name is, who Joshua beat.
Yeah.
Uh, he's got Jason, he's got Terrell Gosha, and some of the big Ukrainian guy. So he is a good coach, and you know, I think with jail. So I think we're jailing with a coach, and you get on together. It's half the ball.
And am I correct in saying he's got Oscar Valdez in the camp as well? Good sparring for you.
Yeah, he's got Valdez there, who's world champion. He's a featherweight, and you know what? I really rate Oscar Valdez. I think he's a fantastic, probably the top. He's not even a prospect no more. He was only a prospect last year, so this is one of the top prospects in the world. But you know, he's a world champion now, and he's done it. It took him 4 years, but you know, he's built rightly, and he's fought the people at the right times, and he's destroyed a good few opponents. He destroyed that Chris Avalos and everything. He done him in 3 rounds. I really rate him, and I'm looking forward to sparring him.
Think he'll beat Selby, mate?
Who?
Valdez.
Well, the sparred, and
Yeah.
what I heard now, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard Valdez done him in sparring. But I rate Selby also. I think Selby's movement's great. If he had a bit more of a punch, it'd be unbelievable.
Who at the moment do you enjoy watching anyway, Michael? Who excites you and gets you up in the middle of the night and stuff?
Golovkin, 100% Golovkin. It's just simple as that. He's unbelievable. I think against Brook, I don't think he cared. It was just like he didn't have a worry in the world of what Brook threw at him, and he was just walking through it. He did look off, but at the same time, it was inevitable what was going to happen. I think he's unbelievable, and I really rate him. So Golovkin's my favourite at the minute.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, man. Yeah, we've chewed up into 45 minutes of your time already. We're not going to keep you all night because it's Sunday evening and everything. But just before I bring the rest of the guys in, if anyone wants to ask Michael a question, then feel free to jump in. Just before we do, just a word on your brother, friend of mine as well, Jamie. Known Jamie since he turned pro. I mean, he's been in some exciting wars. It's a bit more of a boxing match in the last one.
Yeah.
How do you think Jamie's getting on, and possible future fights with the likes of Paul Butler?
Yeah, definitely. You know, Paul's now the bantamweight, so the Jamie loves a war, and you know, I hate Jamie having a war, and I hate watching him having a war, but that's just who he is, and you know, I can't knock him for what he's doing because he's getting himself fans, and he's pulling through in fights which, you know, he should be winning very easy. You know, I'm looking forward to his next steps. Hopefully it's the world title in there next. That's what was promised. So we'll get that probably in Belfast, and then wins that, we'll get the world title shot, and hopefully that'll be in Belfast also, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, I was ringside, obviously, in Dublin when he fought Junior Granados, and then ringside again in London when he fought Anthony Nelson. They're brilliant fights for the fans and stuff, but as a brother and as a family member, what goes through your mind when you're watching him in those type of fights?
What are you doing? It's just, I'd be looking at him saying, what the hell are you doing? You're better than this. He hasn't shown half his talent in any of his fights, which is a bit crazy to say, but he definitely hasn't. in these fights, I've seen him do things in the gym, and I'm like, why don't you do that in the fight? But he just gets in there war, and I think it kind of just depends on it. You know, he has that in his locker, and he'll always resort to it if something's not working, and that's probably what he's stuck in at the minute. And his last fight now, he stuck to the boxing. Even it was a lesser opponent still, but he stuck to the boxing, and hopefully that was only his third fight with Donny, and hopefully they've kind of clicked now, and he's listening a lot more in the corner, because sometimes he just doesn't listen to the corner and just goes to war. It is exciting for a fan, but for me as a brother, I can't stand it. It breaks my heart, and sometimes I just want to say, stop, I don't want to watch this no more, or else I just want to jump into the ring and knock his opponent out.
Just briefly going back to yourself, I just thought there actually I was going to ask you a question that I've never asked you before. Who's the best person you've sparred with? Maybe someone that we might not even have heard of, but who's been the best sparring partner you've ever got in with?
I've sparred a good lot of fighters. Like, it'd be hard to pinpoint one, but probably one of the Kazakh fighters. I find that them guys, when you're sparring them, they're not all like go up and just come forward, even though he's very good in his feet. The one thing about it is their feet, their distance. They know how to judge the distance, and when they're under pressure, they don't show that they're under pressure. They're got like steel faces, and it's scary because I remember fighting one of them in the World Championships in 2011, and I was ahead by 3 points after the first round. He didn't come out panicking or nothing. He came out and his face was like stone cold. And then I was only up by 2 points after the second round. I ended up winning by a point. So I lost the second and third round, but because I was ahead in points by that much, I ended up winning the fight. But it was crazy that they just come out stone cold. No facial expression changes, and their feet work, their distance, everything about their timing and stuff is always on point.
Mm-hmm. Any of the guys want to jump in before we let Michael go?
Hey, Mick, just make sure when you're in New York, mate, after your fight, make sure Tommy buys you a pint. He's a tight bastard.
Of course, you better. You use me one.
Where is he anyway?
His Wi-Fi's fucking up apparently.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there with him.
Good stuff. Make sure to get an after party.
Watch Donny though.
Dodgy Donny. Dave, you want to jump in there?
I just wanted to say have a great fight on St. Patrick's Day. Good luck in your pro career. I'll be watching it. I'm not really a big fan of the amateurs, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing you fight in the pros.
Thanks, man. Cheers. Appreciate that.
Excellent stuff, Michael. Hopefully we'll get you on again at some point in the future.
No worries. Cheers, Steve. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
All the
Thank
best,
you.
mate. Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Thanks. Michael Conlon there, folks, jumping on with us on a Sunday evening. Thanks for Michael for giving us a good bit of his time there. We shall proceed, gentlemen, get through this undercard. We've got Joshua, who else? We've got Parker over the weekend, Charlo, I think Chavez Jr. was fighting, Terence Crawford was fighting. There was a hell of a lot of stuff going on. Smido, tell us about this undercard. I'm a big fan of Frank Buglioni. At first, I used to think he was a bit of a joke on Box Nation. He sold a lot of tickets. His head was static. He was a bit sort of 1-2, 1-2. He's become one of my favourite fighters. The guy is an absolute warrior. No less on Saturday night. It's a brilliant fight.
Oh yeah, it was superb. I mean, make no bones about it, Buglioni was losing going into that last round. I think most people would agree with that. It was the fight I was most looking forward to. I think it was probably the most exciting fight on there, more exciting for me than the heavyweight one. It was just a clash of two very different, obviously styles, but two very different shapes of fighters. We've got Burton's the lanky, long, skinny-looking kid, and Buglioni was the small and more stocky. Sky seemed to be pushing the fact that Buglioni was a power puncher. He clearly showed that in the end, to be fair, but where they got that reputation from, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I wouldn't have had him down as a power puncher, an out-and-out power puncher, especially up at light heavyweight where he now finds himself. You could see that Buglioni had obviously been learning. He has been a little bit disjointed in his training. He's been over in Ireland, then back to London, then back to Ireland. I think he's settled a little bit now with Don Charles. Hopefully that continues. You could see he was trying a bit more movement, especially with the head. Obviously, I thought his feet would have improved from previous bouts I've seen him. The Burton 1-2 was there all night long. Just a simple left-right was there all night long for him. I think he hurt Buglioni in the first or second round. And I thought at that time it could have been an early night, really. But credit to Buglioni, he cracked on and and then obviously knocked him down in the 11th with a bit of more of a flurry and a bit. I thought it was a little bit of a slip, to be fair, at the time. I wouldn't have counted it as a knockdown. But so going into the last, I had Burton 7-4 up. And Burton was actually doing well in that last. And again, he hit him with that 1-2 straight down the pipe. And Buglioni, he didn't stagger, but he definitely was in reverse gear, going backwards to the opposite corner kind of thing. It was quite notable. The Smith brothers were on the first row, calling Burton forward when all he needed to do was stand on his feet, stay out of trouble. He did not do that. He went forward to Buglioni and he landed the absolute puncher the whole night. And the fight was over immediately when that punch landed. The fight was over, regardless of whether the referee let him carry on or not. The fight was over. Then you could clearly see it. The Smith brothers quickly sat down. Joe Gallagher was looking for a spade to dig a hole. That would have been that would have been quite enjoyable for a few people to watch. I must say I quite enjoyed it a little bit, to be fair. But I think, yeah, credit to Buglioni. He survived quite a few scary moments in the fight, and yeah, he just landed the money punch. I think we are likely to see a rematch, to be fair, given that the Matchroom Kid has lost and it was entertaining, and it would be reasonably cheap to put on again. And I'd look forward to the rematch, and I wouldn't be comfortable in calling a winner at this stage, to be fair.
Kurt, digging further into the undercard, we've come up with enough excuses from our mate Luis Ortiz. Whenever he first started coming on the scene, I was on the front of the train, the hype train, I must admit, pouring coal into that baby, playing it along. But Ortiz, I don't know, man. I mean, people are coming up with all these different theories about he'll look better when the opposition raises. Maybe he's trying to bait Eddie into making the Joshua fight. As you say, Kurt, is there just a chance that he could just be a bit of a fat plodder?
Well, he's one of these fighters that seems to get excuses no matter what he does. I mean, give him his due. Malik Scott fight, he just ran. You know, he didn't look good against him because Malik Scott didn't really engage. But now you got a guy like Dave Allen. You know, all respect to the kid. You know, the guy is tough. He wanted the fight. He asked for the fight. He got it. He went in there. He's done a little bit of show about it. He gave it his all. You know, I mentioned Molina going in there, world title challenger, not bothering. Dave Allen went in there and gave his all. He couldn't do no more. And, you know, he did his best. That's all you can ask. And before that fight, people were worried about his health and this fight shouldn't be taking place. But, I mean, Ortiz is what he is. I mean, he's got to be. I mean, they say he's 37. He's got to be pushing 50. His feet are so slow. I mean, he just doesn't move his feet hardly. I mean, he's got good hand speed. He's obviously, you know, well schooled. And he is a good heavyweight. You know, it's not that I'm saying he's not, but he's very overrated for what he is. You know, he beat up Bryant Jennings, a small heavyweight who couldn't hurt him, who couldn't do anything. But, you know, in his last two fights, he's just looked poor. And against Dave Allen last night, you know, he seemed to be, at first, he didn't really do much. And as he seemed to warm into it, he started putting more shots together and hitting Allen and hurting him. But he shouldn't be going 7 rounds with Dave Allen, with all due respect. This guy's the killer that he's made out to be. He'll destroy Joshua, Klitschko, Fury, everyone. Yeah, he's going 7 rounds with Dave Allen. And maybe he's unmotivated, this and that. But the fact is, I mean, he's on a big pay-per-view in front. You know, he wants to get the Joshua fight. He wants to get all these big fights. And to me, what's he done in the past 2 fights? I mean, he's got to do better. I mean, maybe with a better opponent he will, but I just think he's a good heavyweight in today's era and nothing more than that. And I think Josh will probably not knock him out or maybe stop him late, but I think Josh will beat him. I think all the top guys will beat him. He's just his feet don't move. He's stuck in cement basically. And yeah, against the smaller guys, I think he will look good, but against these big guys, I just don't see it myself.
It wasn't enough, was it, Kurt? Let's be honest. I mean, I've got caught up in the hype. I've been biased towards him. I thought the Jennings win was a standout performance, not just for Ortiz, but one of the best heavyweight wins away from being a title involved that we've seen for a while. Malik Scott fight was a farce. And let's remember, there was a 14-second count in that Malik Scott fight. So we can criticise Ortiz for going the distance, but it shouldn't have done, and that is an actual fact. And then Dave Allen was 21 pounds heavier than when he fought Dillian White, and a couple more pounds on top of that than when he fought Jason the Sensation Gavin. Dave Allen, it was on short-ish notice, 3 or 4 weeks. £21 over his last weight. Looked fat on the scales, no two ways about it. Trained himself. So I thought that the bookies had underestimated or, read too much into the Malik Scott force. I was all over Ortiz early doors. I've become wrong again, and I've lost a few quid. But Ortiz, he looks about 50. I just asked the missus last night. First time she'd seen him, I said, "How old do you think he is?" And she said 45. So I mean,
was she talking about you or Ortiz though, Smitho?
no, well, I have put a few years on since last Friday. I think I look 10 years older than last Friday. But no, I don't look as old as him.
But what's he doing to force people to care about a shot? I mean, he's like these people who use the excuse they use for Lara and Rigondo, that these guys are boring. We don't care if they don't get good fights. We'll complain about people ducking people, but when it becomes people like Lara and Rigo, we don't care because they're just boring. Well, Ortiz is going to get the same kind of treatment. People are going to say, well, why do I care about Joshua fighting him? Or Fury or anyone else or Wilder, because the guy's boring. He doesn't do nothing. He just, he's slow and he hasn't impressed. And, we know he's better than that because, HBO are really pushing him. The Jennings fight, he looked good in that fight. But I don't know. He needs someone. I don't know what he needs, to be honest, because I thought Alan was there. He trained himself for fitness first, for fuck's sake. He's basically just turned up there to be the sacrificial lamb to make Ortiz look good, and he still didn't look good. So, maybe they'll stick Chisora with him, Dillian White. I don't know, but I just think he's no more than a good heavyweight. He's not this killer that people make out, and I think all the top guys should beat him.
But this giving Dave Allen all sorts of credit, I'm kind of steering away from that. He took the fight. This is the fight game. This is what should be happening. To be honest, last night you can say he had a go, but he offered no more than some of these better journeymen. To be honest, so yeah, fair play to Dave Allen for taking the fight, but I ain't going out my way to credit him and wish him luck for the future and all that shit.
I think Tyson Fury should take that Ortiz fight now. It would go a long way towards giving, because he would win it. He would school him, I think. I don't think Ortiz does well with movement at all. He showed that with Malik Scott. He can be countered. He's a plotter. He's got good power and he's got fast hands when he wants to be, but he's kind of inaccurate too. There were multiple times where he should have landed punches on Dave Allen where he whiffed, or they were just glancing. So I think
he
Tyson Fury
back a couple of times, did he not, Dave?
It was, well, I didn't watch the whole fight. I just watched the last round and it was pretty poor. But Tyson Fury should take that fight right now. He'll get a lot of credit for it from a bunch of hardcore fans who still rate Ortiz highly. Is this fantastic comeback fight against an undefeated, feared monstrosity, and he'll look, I think, pretty good in that fight. So I think that would be a good business decision, good career decision for Tyson Fury to make, if he even cares about boxing anymore. I don't know.
Wasn't it a 2-fight deal that Hearn had him on, and that's it now? I mean, does Hearn even keep him? What's the point? I mean, I'll just get rid of him, to be fair, and let's see if he can get somewhere else. I just don't see the point in keeping him, because if he got him as a potential Joshua opponent, I don't think it's worked. What other point is there? I mean, like I said, stick him in with Dillian White or someone like that. But again, he's got heavyweights. They could put Price in with Dillian White instead, which fans would probably care more about.
I could see him staying.
What top heavyweight do you think Hearn could actually feasibly get for him? Really? Take age out of the equation. Who else top heavyweight could they get?
Maybe some of the Europeans.
White, Chisora, maybe.
Oh yeah, obviously the Brit contingent, but maybe some of the Europeans. I think he will hang about for a little bit more, maybe another 2-fight job, and then see where we are from there. For 2 reasons. I don't think Ortiz has got many options himself, and I think that it almost could act as an AJ barometer kind of thing. Put them in with Ortiz, see how they do, and if they beat Ortiz, then there's a story for AJ. I don't think Ortiz will end up within AJ, but if someone beats Ortiz, they would, if you see what I mean.
Andy, Callum Smith starched Luke Blackledge, quite a devastating knockout.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a point to this fight. Any idea explaining what it was?
I really don't know, mate. I think it was just basically for a warm-up. But to be honest, that fight should have been stopped around about the 7th or 8th. I think it was the 8th round, actually. But it was really a good call to maybe just stop it then, because the guy was just taking way too many punches. Evil knockout, as you say. done for ages. I really did think he would be sent to God there actually, but thankfully he got up. What do you call him? Dave Allen went to hospital. I believe he's been told not to eat for 24 hours, so obviously he's got to go under scans. Quig Caetano, it was poor. Yeah, if I'd done what I had to do, it was only fight to let me down last night. I actually had that for an accumulator, him to knock him out actually, because I thought the weight might have been the difference, but obviously it wasn't. If Callum Smith though, as I says last night, he's now got to pick up the level of opposition now. I mean, as I says, he's been sitting on this position now for too long. He's no primed and ready yet for facing the likes of De Gale or even Jack, to that matter. I think he needs another couple of step up level fighters, because he is not ready yet. I mean, I know it was an emphatic knockout, but you remember Luke Blackledge hasn't got his pedigree or his background as such that Callum Smith has actually been an amateur back in the day. So as I say, he needs to step it up a wee bit. Who he fights next, I don't know. But he needs to step up. Some sort of fighter at kind of fringe world level. Abraham, I know he pulled out a fight recently. That would be a good barometer, surely.
The problem I have with someone like Callum Smith is I just don't care about who he fights at the moment, because what they're going to do with him, they're just going to put him in with shit guys he's going to steamroll, guys he's going to knock out, because they know he's in this final eliminator or he's in number one spot for Badou Jack, James DeGale. So they're not going to put him in with anyone who has any chance at all at beating him. So what are the point in the fans investing their time into him? What's the point? Because he's not going to fight anyone. So now we're getting told that he's world class, he's this and that. He's world class by proving what? He won't fight anyone until he gets his shot. Just like his brother, Paul Smith. He doesn't want to fight anyone because he knows, because he had a close fight with Abraham a couple of years ago, that he's always going to be close for a title shot again by beating no one. So until Callum Smith fights Badou Jack or James DeGale, I just don't care about him. And I'd never watch this fight, and I ain't watch another fight, because it's just pointless for a fan. I don't understand. Unless you're close to them, what's the point? It's like Scott Quigg, and it's the whole matchroom. It's the whole matchroom blueprint.
I completely agree.
Dangerous.
There's no point to watching most of those fights that the matchroom makes. Unless they make a big fight, then you tune in. Otherwise,
it was nothing fight. It was just going through the motions. I mean, the gap between Blackledge and DeGale or Jack, I mean, it's worlds apart. I think the guy on Twitter, I think it's TJ, who puts a number of days up since he fought in a final eliminator for the WBC. It's embarrassing. It brings nothing to the card, nothing to the stadium, nothing to the pay-per-view. It's just a complete waste of time. I mean, it was a good finish left up to it, but you know what? We just learnt nothing. We just literally learnt nothing. And they're the type of fights that has took up an hour on the pay-per-view for no reason. We don't need it. At least we do get bored with Quigg, but at least he was coming back from something, you know. But the Callum Smith, it just nothing. Brought nothing to it.
It's the same thing over and over again. And I just think that's what hurts the guys in the end, because, you know, the odd guy, he will step up and be able to, you know, show how good he is. But just the jumping levels is too much. I mean, surely it'd be good to get a top-rated guy, you know, to fight and come through that. But they won't. They just won't risk it now, because they know he's going to get, you know, he's going to probably get a shot, or Eddie says that he's going to get a shot at the winner. So, but in boxing today, they're going to fight in January. They might not fight again till, you know, September. So we got to have another shit fight for Callum Smith, probably on the next Joshua undercard. Another shit fight for him again on another undercard. He'll probably be on Bao Yuhai, and he'll probably be on Joshua Klitschko against fat, pregnant fucking Latvians. What's the point? Just to prop up his shitty box rec. I don't care.
I don't think the winner of that unification fight, I don't think either of them are in a rush to fight Callum Smith,
exactly.
to be honest. Even including DeGale, I don't think either of them will be in a rush. They'll also have the unification side of it. So, you know, they could, if they fight one of the other champions or a big name, big money fight, they'll find ways of avoiding Callum Smith.
Or they'll, you know, I mean, DeGale's got more chance of fighting him, I'd say. But if Badou Jack wins, he'll never heard of Callum Smith. He'll probably say, fuck that. He'll probably dump his bout. And then, you know, Eddie Hearn's in again, because he'll get Callum against some fat pole, and he'll be a world champion.
But if you keep if everyone keeps saying that you're world class, does that make you world class? If everyone keeps saying that I'm the best gambler in the world, does that make me the best gambler in the world?
Well, exactly.
It's all bullshit.
That's the thing. It's like that they just brainwash. Paul Smith's world class because he had a close fight with a fat old Arthur Abraham. I mean, and you know, what does it mean? I mean, you could find a journeyman who's been in fights with all the top names. It doesn't mean he's world class just because he's been in the ring with them. You know, someone has to tell Eddie Hearn, these guys have actually got to get a win over someone world class. Then you're world class, at least to show you on that level. They'd never do though. They lose, but they're world class because brave Brit puts up a good effort, loses every round, gets knocked out. Brave, world class.
Like Liam Smith as well.
Yeah. Exactly, Dave, exactly. Right, we're going to round this card off because we've been on it for long enough. Final results that we haven't mentioned. Wins for Marcus Morrison, Katie Taylor and Connor Ben. The Box Bet Beast asked earlier, what kind of defences can we expect for Cal Yafai? Well, full respect to Cal, I thought he did well despite what Conception was bringing to the table. The short answer, I think, Box Bet Beast is not very good defences. Right, let's see what fight we're going on to next. I was planning on going on to Parker. Yes.
There was a good point on Yafai on Twitter. I'm taking your thunder. It's not an original thought from me, but someone said now he just becomes the next Jamie McDonnell. He will prop up a world title fight on pay-per-view cards, and then Eddie can say, oh, we've got 3 or 4 world title fights, and but Yafai is talented, but the top boys at the top table in that division are fucking good.
They are indeed, Adam. Right, let's get down to New Zealand, guys. A potential future opponent for Anthony Joshua, who he holds the IBF title. Now, the new WBO champion is Joseph Parker. He eked out a split decision over Mr. Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Patterson, your namesake, Andy Ruiz, he did pretty well, actually. Yeah. I wasn't scoring the fight. I tend not to score them generally these days. But from what I saw, I thought Parker was very concerned about his stamina. Probably after the Takam fight, he's right to do that. I thought he was very tentative. He won rounds. He was sort of outboxing while being outlanded at the same time, if you know what I mean. It was strange. I actually thought if there was one winner, personally, wasn't scoring it, I thought Ruiz had probably done enough.
Yep. I had it. That wasn't really. I was scoring it by rounds. I've not got my actual scorecard. I didn't score points, but what it was like the first 4 or 5 rounds. I think I gave the first 4 or 5. Well, first 4 rounds I think I gave to Ruiz. He was throwing punches. He kind of was setting the pace a little bit, as you say. Parker was kind of moving off the back foot. He kind of spent the most of the fight off the ball, the first half of the fight off the back foot, but then for some reason he just seemed to stop throwing punches. Probably gas. Maybe he was starting to get worried about his stamina. 12 rounder, wanting to kind of preserve it down the stretch and stuff. But Parker then just took advantage. I thought because I just thought Ruiz was inactive. Even during the middle rounds and stuff. I thought just even though Parker wasn't all that great in the grand scheme of things, I still think he did enough to eke out those middle rounds. And then I think it was going into 11th. I think you could say that maybe Ruiz maybe needed a knockout, but I can't remember what my scorecard was. I think I maybe had Parker by a round, maybe. But as I says, I think I stated after the fight as well, is it was good to get a fight, even though it was close in scorecards. There was no controversy with the scorecards because I think the scorecards were roughly just about right, 115, 113 either side. But a draw is certainly not at the equation as well. But it was a decent enough fight. I know a lot of people were down on Parker and that, and I know you were saying as well, and I agree with you that Joshua would simply walk through Parker. So what he's going to do next, we know what he's going to do next. It's going to be staying in New Zealand, picking up a few paydays and that before he's kind of forced to kind of step it up a bit.
Yeah, I think we were talking in direct chat actually. Hey to Dave Lowback, and while I think that the Joshua fight, there's a good chance that Joshua could walk through him. But the thing is about Joshua, whenever a Parker struggles or a Wilder struggles, I'm always reluctant to say, oh, Joshua will walk through him, because simply from the fact that I can't rate Joshua against his rivals because he's fought such bad opposition. Hey to Dave Lowback, it's hard to say, oh, Parker looked shit, Joshua would smash him. How the hell do we know about Joshua when he's fighting fights like that on Saturday night?
Yeah, we don't know anything. He's still a question mark, and getting wobbled by Dillian White, who's not really a big puncher. I think he's hiding some glass. I do think, that said, that Joshua is the real deal, and he'll probably do well. I don't think he'll be the best of the best. He's certainly not going to be Ali level, but I think he's going to do well, and I favor him to beat Vlad. As for this New Zealand fight, I thought it was mildly entertaining. It wasn't like a slugfest or anything. It didn't live up to Bob Sheridan's ridiculous claim of that's the best heavyweight championship fight I've seen in the last decade. But it was pretty good. It was competitive, and it was close, and it was well matched. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. And it's nice to know that Ruiz is actually on this level. He has a good jab, really nice jab. It's like all of Abel Sanchez's guys, or as Seb calls him, unable wank cheese. all his guys have are pretty good at doing a come forward, sort of steering you around the ring power jab, and that was Ruiz's best punch of the fight. And I think that was the punch of the fight. I had it 115 to 114 for Parker. Just thought he barely edged it on clean shots down the stretch, but it was really close. I can see an argument for Ruiz, especially because he did so well early. Just think he lacks imagination. Parker isn't that imaginative himself, but he was able to adapt at least slightly as the fight wore on. He changed it up, started working his jab a little better, started putting more variation into his shots. Ruiz just has that jab, which is a very good punch, not taking anything away from it. He's very good with it, but he has that, and then he doesn't have much else. He's got power, he's got stamina, I guess, he's got speed, but he doesn't like put much thought into his power shots. He just kind of unloads when he gets in range. He looked like second half of the fight, he looked like he was desperate to land something big on him, but he couldn't find the time to do it. And then whenever he would get close, he would just kind of wing in these shots. Most of them would miss or just land glancing, even though they were still having effect, because it looked like Parker was feeling the power at times. It was a decent fight, and I would like to see a rematch. Could have gone either way.
I had it 7 rounds to 5, Parker. I thought it was the bit about Parker really for me was his left hand. His jab. I thought he jabbed quite well, and I thought he hooked quite well, leading off with his left hand. Obviously, was trying to keep it at range. Ruiz was better than what I thought. To be fair, casual comment there for you. But I think that Parker is getting knocked out by someone. I've got visions of him against Takam where he got rocked a couple of times. As Dave said, he was a little bit uncomfortable a couple of times last night. I can see him getting knocked out by someone. I don't know who yet.
Kurt, Parker was racing through the opponents early on, smashing them all to bits, and then he sort of had a scare against Takam. He's almost, this is going to be a bit of a tortured analogy, but he's like someone who's flying along the road at 100 odd miles an hour, and a dog's run out in front of him, and he slammed the brakes on there, and he just looked, like I said to Andy, he just looked like someone who was afraid to go the distance. He was afraid he was going to gas. He's had a wake-up call. Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe that's going to hold him in good stead. But he was boxing a lot off the back foot, Kurt. But was it exciting? Oh, not so much exciting. Was it that effective, really, the boxing he was doing off the back foot for long periods?
Well, especially early, no, I'd say. I think what helped him was Andy Ruiz tired, which, is not too surprising, seeing as he's basically, walking around with just, about 4 fucking chins and 3 bellies. But, Andy Ruiz, he's a good fighter. And for a fat guy, he's got really quick hands. And, he was unbeaten. The thing about Parker is, the problem is, whenever he fights, people straight away compare him to Anthony Joshua and say, oh, Joshua will knock that guy out. But the thing is, Joshua's a different fighter. And whenever, when you're using the eye test, a power puncher who's knocking guys out Sparko in 2 rounds, he's always going to look better. But the thing is, Joseph Parker, like Tyson Fury did, he's going the rounds against good level fighters, and he's learning on the job. And the thing is, like Tyson Fury, he's not going to look impressive. Joshua will bang a guy out in 1 round, 1 right hand, they're gone. Whereas Fury will struggle or have to dig deep to get the wins. And Parker, against someone like Takam, had to do it. And against Andy Ruiz, I thought he just nicked that fight, but if that was in, Los Angeles, Texas, he probably would have been on the other end of a close loss. But he's got the win. And, I mean, the cards were fair, but I'm just saying, it's in a close fight, Ruiz would have probably known, being in New Zealand, it will probably get to the New Zealander. But he's learning on the job, and he's still 23, 24. And even though I think Josh would beat him right now, we don't know anything about Joshua. The fact is, we've only seen him have to slightly dig deep when Dillian White hurt him, in the second round. Apart from that, he's had everything his own way. Dillian White's the only guy to hit him back. Parker's had to dig deep, and he's never going to look as good as Joshua, and he's not going to get the hype. But who knows what would happen in that fight? And that's a fight that I want to see. But obviously, we got hopefully the Klitschko fight happening first. But I just hope that Parker does, fight the top guys, and he doesn't just keep that WBO belt over there and just fight absolute rubbish. People saying Fury's a mandatory, but we don't know what's going on with him. He's talking about Wilder. He talks a lot about different fighters, but he never seems to fight anyone. So yeah, I just hope that, obviously he'll probably have a soft first touch. Most of them do, but I just hope that he continues. From his opposition, he took the Takan fight. He seems to want to fight these level of guys. So I just hope he continues that and he learns. And I wouldn't write him off against Anthony Joshua, because Joshua, like I said, he's fighting Molina's, he's fighting Brazil's. There's absolutely no danger whatsoever. Whereas at least Parker's gone in there with Takam and Ruiz, and he's been in close fights and got through them. So it's a tough one to call, but it's good to see young heavyweights around in this division, because that's what we need with a few of the guys heading off into retirement.
I noticed some of these possible opponents for Parker, actually. See, there's not really much terms like, obviously I think Hay's been called as a mandatory and stuff, so I think he might go right down the bottom, say like the fifth, like maybe the 15th ranked guy, which you're talking like that guy that Povetkin knocked out. Is it Andrew Vars or something? And then you've got Christian Hammer. You got that big guy. Is it the big Nigerian boy? Is it Uganoi or something like that? So
Yeah.
that's probably the kind of level of opponents they're going to be looking at before they find out what's going to happen with David Hay next year.
Yeah, we just don't know
good
which direction he's going to go, Dave.
I just wanted to add on to Kurt's point. I think it's a good point from Kurt about the contrast between opposition and how it's going to develop the two fighters. I also think that Anthony Joshua is one of those guys like Mike Tyson, like Vlad to a certain extent in a few years ago, where his opponents are getting overawed by the occasion, the reputation, and the aura around him, I believe. We saw Dillian White. He stood up to him and he went rounds and he was able to hurt Joshua. I think people who stand up, who actually have the balls to get in there and fight, who actually believe in themselves, I think they're going to give him a good fight. I think people like Molina, people like Kevin Johnson, people like that are getting overawed by him, and that's part of the reason why he's having these blowout wins and making it look so one-sided.
Thanks for that, Dave. Right, we have a third guest on the line. Richard Allen and Michael Conlon have been and gone. Our main man, he's got some fans now on Twitter calling for Amir Khan to come on the line. Amir, Parker Ruiz, bit of AJ against Molina. What tickles your fancy, man?
I want to talk about the card for starters. I mean, I didn't pay for it, and I'm a bit pissed off. I should have paid for it. The card was absolutely amazing. To see the Joshua fight or the Chisora fight, because my stream packed up. Did any of you guys pay for the pay-per-view last night? I'm guessing no. But...
Fucking behave yourself. What can I question? What?
Give him a drug test.
I asked Team Stream Alex for the stream, and he didn't want to fucking send me a link. But...
That's because his account would have got blocked. Ken something? I sometimes use this website for streaming.
Yeah, Team Stream Alex, follow me on Twitter, then I can DM you. But anyway, just talking about the card. Buglioni fight, absolutely amazing. What a win. I mean, he was behind, he was getting battered, and he just took Jose Burton out, didn't he? Part of me was thinking the ref stopped it a bit early. What do you guys think?
No.
Absolutely no. He was fucking. He was gone. He was gone. I mean, that was a temple shot. He was gone.
Amir,
Burton was gone.
He didn't go down though, did he? He was like on the ropes.
Amir wants Eddie Hearn to stand up and put the thumb down. No.
I can't believe Eddie Hearn, the slimy bastard, is like happy about that, and that's the only fight he's calling for a rematch for, because this guy lost. I'd like to see the rematch. I don't know what you guys think in that fight.
Amir, are you running around in the middle of the road or something?
Yeah, I'm just out at the moment. Just been out for a meal with the missus. So, basically, that fight was good. Your fight, I got completely wrong. I thought Conception were going to win and absolutely school him, but I mean, your fight's an absolutely brilliant little boxer. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, you thought your fight did well. It was about time he stepped up.
He stepped up, but he absolutely schooled that guy, didn't he? It reminded me of, I don't want to give him too much hype, it reminded me of Mayweather-esque, but not the shoulder roll.
The Brommy Mayweather, yeah, that's the nickname right there, Brommy Mayweather.
Honestly, mate, he absolutely schooled him. He's fighting a two-weight world champion. But
he's
the
no
thing
Mayweather.
I don't like...
Definitely
no, he's no Mayweather, no. And
More
the
Jeff
Panamanian
Mayweather.
belt, one of the eagle-eyed guys spotted, it was the wrong way around.
He's not even Roger Mayweather.
That made me laugh.
We've never heard Amir Khan this wound up.
Amir, we're loving this.
I'm absolutely raging. Right, Derek Chisora, Dillian White, what a fight! I mean, absolutely amazing. I saw the rerun today. I think, in all honesty, Derek Chisora won. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, but it was close. I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't argue with the decision myself.
What about Carl Froch? Absolutely fucking bellend. I'm one of his biggest fans.
Yeah,
Absolute fucking bellend. Changing his mind right at the end when the decision is made. What a fucking arsehole. Do you know what I mean?
Smido, do you want to hang on, Amir? Let Smido jump in there. He's a bit annoyed.
I just thought Cole looked excellent last night. His new nose has done wonders for him. He looked like the poster boy of British commentators.
And he was sitting next to David Hay, who looked like a homeless stoner piece of shit.
Yeah, Amir,
since I've been watching boxing, my favourite fighter has been Carl Froch. And last night, he just let me down. He was talking a load of shit. He was fucking having digs about his own fight. I mean, that's been there and that's gone now, hasn't it? And he's just living off that. Do you know what I mean? But I can't blame the man. The main event, I mean, it went down as I expected. John just absolutely demolished fucking that poor dude who just come here for a payday. I'd like to see Joshua not Klitschko out. I think that's going to happen. Dave Lowbat, what do you think about that?
About what?
Joshua and Klitschko. I think it's a 5-round job.
Yeah, I think he's going to beat Klitschko. I think he's going to beat him in 5, 6, 7 rounds. Yeah.
Definitely. And then I think you're talking about Joseph Parker. If you look at his physique, he's natural. He's not on a HGH, human growth hormone like Joshua, as we all know. I think Parker's physique is not as good as Joshua's for some reason, because it's natural. Have you seen his legs compared to Joshua's?
Yeah, they're like fucking
sparrow legs.
Yeah.
They're really tiny, you know. I can't see Joshua lasting with Joshua, but I can't see Eddie Hearn having the balls to make that fight.
No, I don't think so, to be honest. Right, Amir, final points from you. We're going to the America soon. What do you think about anything? Just speak.
Tony Bellew, David A, complete mismatch. I've said it all along. I think David A is going to spark him. Roundabout, my favourite heavyweight, who Dave Lowbat absolutely loves, Tyson Fury. I think if he gets himself in shape, mentally and physically, he can beat anyone.
Yeah. What a gypsy.
He can. I mean, he's done it. He's done it. He's done it in Germany. Come on.
Yeah.
If he gets his fucking act together, he can beat anyone.
He's still the man. He's still the man in the world. There's no clear.
He is. He is a lineal heavyweight champion of the world. But the fact is, he got a bit too high and a bit full of himself after that. He obviously bit back. He talked a load of shit. I mean, he's calling David A gay and all this kind of stuff, which is really childish and immature. If he gets himself together, get someone who's media trained alongside him. I know he's got a few people, but if you get someone proper around him, I think he can do the business.
Amir, thanks for choosing us on your Sunday evening, but it's time to go back to your wife, man. We'll speak to you next week, okay?
Yeah, just leave me in a minute. Let's get back to it. See you later, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.
Yeah.
I was a bit thrown by that. Amir Khan on amazing form. Who saw that coming?
People wanting Seb back on the call, man, instead of the fucking Amir.
Amir was on rare form tonight, Andy.
I was trying to ask him, but he was just on a complete rant. Is that a good Muslim? Does he drink? Does he take drugs?
I think Amir.
We needed a bit of passion to get us revved up here.
Well, I'll just say on Steve.
Yeah, man.
Molina was an half-decent opponent for the situation at the time. To be fair, we didn't moan too much at the opponent, but it's not AJ and Eddie's and Sky's fault and the casuals' fault that Molina got in there and did shit all. He was embarrassing, but that's that we can't blame AJ for that. The evidence we've got is Molina went for it against Areola, he went for it against Wilder, and they were entertaining fights. He didn't go for it last night. Only he knows why. And because of him, it was a shit fest, not because of anyone else.
What's worse, Smido? Charles Martin, Dominic Breazeale, or Eric Molina? Rate them in order 1 to 3. Who's been worse?
Charles Martin was the worst, then Molina, then Breazeale, just because Breazeale went further. But at least Martin and Brazil, we knew they were shit. Do you know what I mean? Molina is bang average, but we expected more of him. So the person to least meet expectations is possibly Molina, or Charles Martin. Obviously, was the so-called champion. He was an embarrassment, but to meet their expectations, none of them were expected to win. But entertainment expectations, Molina let us down badly last night.
Molina was picked ahead of David Price because of the fact that they thought he'd go a few rounds at least. The fact is, now people are saying, well, Price would have been in there because if he at least maybe he'd let go. But again, that's the type of thing that you're dealing with Anthony Joshua right now, Price or Molina. That's how low it is. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He needs to fight someone, and this Klitschko fight is happening. Thank God it is, because he needs a big name.
Well, what was I going to say? Yes, the one person who picked it right, though, guys, out of everybody, was Eddie Hearn himself in that video that it was made whenever he said, look, Molina will only barely last 3 rounds with Anthony Joshua. It's a mismatch. Eddie got it spot on.
Yeah, but then did you see his comments just a previous week before that? He said it's a tough test for Joshua.
Is someone suggesting Eddie Hearn lies? No, I won't have it. Not on this podcast.
Ken, there was somebody on Twitter said to me last night that Eddie Hearn stated or confirmed that Joshua was on the VADA enrollment program. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not believing that. I sent them a message today asking if Vladimir and fucking Joshua were on the program. No response, so I think that one's going to go away.
Do you know what annoys me about Eddie Hearn? Why is he always getting that fucking ring as soon as that fight's over? I know Bob Arum's old. You don't expect an 80-year-old to get in that ring so quick, but he's in the ring straight away, desperate to get in there, to get all in. David Haye, I've criticised Haye a lot. He was so right in what he said at that press conference the other week. Eddie Hearn wants to be the star. He's so desperate for it.
But talking of predictions, I sent a text to my mate on Friday, and his question was, what's the script on Joshua's opponent? And I said, Wilder and Ariola, blah, blah, blah. And I said, AJ hits him with a right hand. Molina goes down, gets up. AJ stops him with flurry, probably while Molina's still on his feet. Fucking have some of that for a prediction.
Well done. The Oracle.
About time I got one right, eh?
Yeah, forget the 4,975 he got wrong. He got one right.
Aye, the fucking the £6,000 credit card debt you've got as well.
Good lad, Smido, good lad. Right, Dave, get yourself all fluffed up for the USC Galen Centre, Charlo, Mares, Williams, Cuellar, etc., etc. While you get yourself all pumped for that, Andy, I'm going to throw a question into you. It's from Dippo Osho on the Facebook page, regular contributor and listener to the podcast. Hello, Dippo. He's a lot of love for my Spencer Fearon rant last week. I hadn't really planned it, but it seems to have gone down well. Anyway, Dippo says, Andy, question for the pod, although I think Andy P might want to take this one solo. What is the most ridiculous and absurd introduction you have ever heard in boxing for a fighter? Ed Draper's introduction of Spencer Fearon every week on the ringside is an absolute disgrace. He calls him boxer, promoter, historian, sage, social media innovator, life motivator, and guru of the sweet science. Is he just trolling, or does he just love tonguing Spencer's ring every week? What do you think, Andy?
Probably all of the above, mate. Sky are on. I'm convinced they're on the troll with that website and stuff. Especially with a guy like Tube's working in the fucking office, But try to top that. I mean, that is a belter actually. Who else?
Well, listen to this. He says the only one to rival it is in Rocky IV when Apollo is introduced before he gets iced by Drago. The Dancing Destroyer, the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Fisto, the Master of Disaster, the one and only Apollo Creed.
That's a belter. There's going to be. Kurt probably would be the best one to ask about, especially because he watches all that wrestling stuff and that, so he's bound to get some good fucking introductions there. Mauro Ranello, he's kind of bad for kind of like making shitty fucking analogues and that. I know he makes all these fucking mad sayings. Who else we got?
One thing that annoys me, Andy, Adam Smith, not the one on the podcast, he would never annoy me, but the Sky one, he says the same thing every single fight at some point. He's looking over to the corner.
He's just a cliche, isn't he?
I've worked so very, very hard. I mentioned that creepy. Hey, by the way, I know he's a creep and all that sort of stuff, but what balls he showed during that press conference, didn't he? Well, Eddie Hearn, the fucking snide, ran like a wee bitch. When that table went flying, that fucking Delbo went up to him. He says, "You picked up with that shite, Eddie." Eddie's like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And he just off that. Adam Smith standing like, balls of steel, man. Just fucking settle down. You got a big opportunity tomorrow, mate. Just get in there, do your best and stuff like that. Did they fucking flinch? Eddie, the wee shitebag.
Been three
Speaking of-
occasions recently. Eddie did not know what to do when Hay threw a punch at Bellew. He did not know what to do with Chisora this week. And the leak footage of the off the whatever it's called, gloves are off. He didn't run off, but he was frozen to the spot when Chisora was biting Dillian White, and Dillian White was throwing glasses at people. He's a shitbag.
That's what happens when you get that silver spoon upbringing, you know.
Exactly.
Definitely had brown underpants,
No,
didn't they?
no face. Exactly. He's not been faced to go out there and sing for his supper sometimes, or come home to an empty house and there's no fucking food. Don't to go hungry or fucking for a couple of days, you old bastard, eh?
It's what makes me
Shame,
laugh.
like.
Hire Dana White to come over and muscle his fighters around while he just stands in the background.
Yeah, but for a man who loves the whole wrestling angle and likes to see what the WWE are doing and likes to incorporate into the boxing to get people's interest, then he says, "Oh, it's too much." And that whole presser thing makes me laugh. The British Boxing Board of Control getting involved and fining and all this and that. I mean, people mind about the Eastern Europeans when they're like robots. They don't do nothing. They shake hands at the press conferences. It's all nicey nice. And yet, when two guys dislike each other, and they really do dislike each other, it's like we'll speak about it with Charlo later on. Charlo last night doesn't like Julian Williams. Julian Williams has been trashing him for a year, talking mad shit about him. But because he just knocked him out and he's supposed to just forget all that and hug him and all sportsmanship. No, he didn't do that. He was himself, and now he's been criticised for it. The thing is, boxing is about people not liking each other. You can be. It's a sport, but you got to settle it in the ring. And that whole press conference was just a joke with Chisora and White, and the reaction to Charlo. It's not everyone can be nicey nice. You can't have it both ways,
Yep.
Well, Kurt has brought us beautifully onto our next show. Hey to Dave Roback.
Shut his drawers, shut his drawers. Eddie Hearn, shut his drawers, shut his drawers.
Dave, don't be put off by the chanting. Right, I haven't seen a stitch of this card, so I'm relying on you, Hater, to talk me through it. Jamal Charlo knocking out Julian Williams, Abner Mares, bit of a shock win over Jesus Cuellar, wins for various fighters of different levels on the undercard. Dave, speak to me, man. What did you like on this one?
I expected Mares to win that because Cuellar's not that good, but I didn't bother watching that main event because I don't really care about either one of them. Mares is a dirty little nut slapper. But I did enjoy the co-main with Charlo, the good Charlo, Jermal. I've been telling you, he's the good Charlo. He's the guy who plants his feet, got a good jab. And Julian Williams, who I also like, even after last night, though you have to wonder if he's got the punching power and if he's got the chin for the style he has, which is really exciting, fun Philly style. He landed some really good shots on Charlo. And I thought he was really coming into the fight at the time that he got sparked by a beautiful right uppercut. I was saying a couple weeks ago about how the uppercut, when they do it perfectly to end a fight, that's my favorite punch. Yeah. Oh, this one was beautiful. Face down hard on the canvas, and I don't think anybody would have survived a shot like that. Although Trout certainly took Charlo's power a lot better. Trout's a really tough guy too. Trout took his power a lot better than J-Rock did. So you have to wonder about that chin. I mean, it was a jab that had him down.
Exactly, mate. And he was badly fucked when he got up there off that jab. Yeah. He got up and his feet was all over the place.
Yeah. But still, though, I mean, he's a good fighter. You just have to wonder maybe how long he can go with that chin. But Charlo, yeah, he's the better brother. And I liked how he said he wanted to go up to 160. I liked how he called out Canelo. Hopefully he gets to do one of those fights. Wouldn't mind seeing the Andrade fight. Andrade had some choice words for him afterwards, backstage, I guess. So, yeah, Charlo has a bright future.
Just opening this up to the panel, guys, as somebody who hasn't seen this, would you recommend I go and fish this out on YouTube or alternative methods during the week?
Oh, yeah, definitely, mate. It's a good fight. I mean, as I say, I've said before, I'm not really interested in the Charlos because they're basically look like each other and they're basically in the same division. But now that I've had a good chance to kind of figure out who's who, and that I'll be paying attention to this guy a wee bit more often. He's got it all. He's a big, solid guy for that weight. I don't think he's going to make it 154 for much longer. As Dave says, it was J-Rock kind of like he went for a jab 1-2, and as he pulled back his right hand, he's obviously dropped his left hand. He was trying to kind of whip in the left too because to kind of finish off his combination. But at that point, the right uppercut landed basically right in the point of the chin as he's trying to through the left hook. just short wired him. Down he went. You know, there'd been a good point there just to stop the fight there and then, but you know, he got every respect. He got up. You know, he tried to kind of fight on, but the follow up was, you know, well, he was done anyway. I mean, the follow up didn't really matter. I think it was a left hook actually in the follow up, but you know, after the fight, I'm not really one for. You know, I'm not going to give him shit for after that because you know, as Kurt says, you know, the shit he said had been put up on Twitter and that of J Rock's been pretty bad. So he's obviously kind of like, you know, good to get out of your system. One thing I would take umbrage with is see if you're going to do that with someone though. Did he then go back on your word and try and apologise? If the guy pissed you off that much, then fucking tell it. Didn't he bother apologising for it? No point apologising for shit. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Be the man.
I thought he should have told the crowd to fuck off as well.
Exactly.
He obviously was told by someone, "Oh, apologise." He didn't want to, but he was told to. But I thought I became a fan of his. I've said before, I despise this division. I wish it would just disappear and just all these guys would go to middleweight. I hate it. All these slick technicians, boring. They ain't got no opponents. That they fight each other basically. A mirror image. You got Trout, Andrade, Charlos. I don't know which one's which. The mum couldn't have named them David and Pete. She had to name them basically the same name. You got fucking the other guy. Yeah, they're so boring, all of them. I mean, I've got nothing against any of the guys personally, but I want to see him again. It's like having Ringendale fighting another, like always the same kind of technician. They're boring fights. You need guys who are at least going to come to them and fight. You know, it's no coincidence Lara's best fight was when he faced Angulo, who just came onto him, pressure non-stop. And all these guys haven't really got anyone to do that with. So I don't like the division, but I watched this fight last night. I'd never really seen Williams before. I know he's got a lot of hype. Heard he's going to be the next big thing. The guy's got a glass chin. It's obvious. I mean, one thing getting put down by a jab, it happens. He was all over the place. His legs were actually gone from a jab. I mean, Amir Khan chin I'm talking about now. You know, Charlo looked absolutely devastating. His punch power, his selection, he's quick. I liked his trash talk at the end. You know, he wants to go up to middleweight. He seems like the guy who wants to take on the best. You know, I said I'd like to see him take Golovkin on, but it's another fight we're not going to see. It's pointless. But yeah, I mean, he looked really good last night. I don't really know about his brother. I haven't really seen much of them, but you know, he looked really good last night against an opponent who was, you know, supposed to be the next big thing, and you know, he's beat Trout as well. So you know, that was, I mean, his knockout was devastating, and it was really impressive. And hopefully we see him at middleweight and see him in some good fights. But you know, politics plays a part again in the fights that I personally want to see.
Two names obviously kind of keep an eye out for in that division actually. Islam for Kazakhstan. I think he's another highly touted amateur turned over pro kind of late in his career. I think Erickson Lubin as well. I think he had a knockout victory last night. Was it 4-rounder? I think it was. You know, he's getting a bit of heavy hype as well. He's getting a bit of hype, at least I would say. But you know, most of these guys are under, especially the light middleweight, are under the spell of Al Heyman. So it's up to him. I mean, you just wonder as well. Maybe Richard Schaefer coming into the sport. Do you think he maybe even try and make some decent fights?
I think
Dirty Dick was in the ring last night. I was hoping Charlo would chin his ass.
What I would say, Steve, is Jamal Charlo, I'm a believer, because I thought he was impressive last night. He's what I would call a shooter. He's got thick legs, as a few have said. He's going to end up at middleweight. I thought his defense is pretty good, and that I just think everything he does has got bad intentions. He puts a lot into his attacks. I mean, that KO, well, it ended up not being the KO, but the uppercut that virtually finished the fight. The skill involved in that is absolutely superb. I know we've probably all seen the replays, but he catches a two-punch combination with his right hand, and then with that same hand throws a blistering uppercut. And you like I say, the fight was effectively over at that. It was absolutely superb skill when you slow it down and watch it. And I'm definitely a believer in him now. And it was funny because being the hardcore I'm a subscriber to Box Nation, and they had the Trout fight on this afternoon, a replay of that with this Charlo, and that was enjoyable as well. You know, I like his style.
Yeah, Box Nation do that, Smido. It makes you think halfway through. You go, oh, have they got Charlo against such and such? Oh no, it's a rerun of Charlo against Trout. They pull that sneaky one often.
You know what gets on my nerves though? Like I didn't watch Crawford live, and you know, like when Sky have a late night international, the next morning when they replay it, they have the main event on first, and then But what all Box Nation do, they just play the whole card from the start. 10 in the morning. So literally this morning it started at 10 o'clock and finished at 1:05 p.m. and I just didn't know when Crawford was going to be coming on. I had to keep checking back because I was watching the football and that. Cheap.
Why you not record it then, you fucking helmet?
I know, but I'm running out of space, Andy. These 3-hour programs, I'm running out of space. I've still got Lebedev from last week that I haven't watched. Westworld, I've got 10 episodes of Westworld that I haven't watched. I'm falling.
What's the wife got on the telly that you can delete in the quiet?
Britain's Got Talent. Oh, Bake Off, that Bake Off one.
They're all Smido's programs, aren't they? Let's be fair.
Yeah, I don't watch any of that shit.
Get them deleted, mate.
Well, hopefully, Smido, by next week, you'll have seen Terence Crawford knocking out John Molina. I'm sorry, spoiler alert, Smido, spoiler alert in the Century League.
Come to me first. I can give it you.
Right, we're going to come to you first. We're going to come to you first. Don't worry. Also on the undercard, Mason Menard got his ass knocked out by Raimundo Beltran, who's still going on. Shawnee Monahan, for some reason, is still fighting shit, even though this was his 27th or 28th fight against Fernando Castaneda. Bob isn't putting on the best of undercards, Smido. I know you're not bothered about this, but the Lomachenko Walters, now this one. Bob doesn't care about the undercards. He's all about the main events. Crawford Molina. I'm going to give Molina a bit of credit. He was throwing for the hills.
He was. And we've seen quite a few opponents through the...
He was fucking awful, man. Be honest.
Oh, steady on. I haven't finished yet. We've seen a lot of opponents this year and through the annuals that would have gave up because Molina was getting absolutely dominated from the first second. He didn't offer much at all. It was crude as we expected, and he kept coming forward. Crawford for me was edging towards the disappointment section, i.e., I think he should have got it done a little bit earlier, and I wouldn't have given him much more leeway than the 8th round. To be fair, he could have finished it around the 5th or 6th for me, if not earlier. He hurt him very early, like I say, he was in complete control. But he is a pleasure to watch, Crawford. He's switch hitting. He picks the shots beautifully. I think he's got bad intentions as well in his punch. He's got a bit of a nasty streak to him, which I like. When he does get caught, he don't run off. He fights fire with fire. He's obviously had a great year. And the finish I thought the finish was excellent, to be fair. He threw the right hand 3 times, head, body, and head. The body shot in that combination was obviously finished the fight. And we could, but like I say, Molina maybe could have gone out there a couple of rounds before. Molina's not a great opponent. He missed the weight quite badly. I think he's now lost 4 of his last 6 or something like that, or 4 of his last 7, something along them lines. Could have been better, but it's on the back of a good year for Crawford. He's obviously beat the second best guy in the division quite handedly, so we can almost let him off this. And they got 11,000 through the gate last night, which is, again, another thing on the notch of impressive things about Terence Crawford.
Lads, opening up to the panel, who wants to speak on this? Do you give Crawford a pass? Impressed? Depressed?
I was okay with it, mate. I mean, in the day, Molina is what he is. He's a C-level student, and he got taken apart by a master there last night. He started all that fucking showboating, how he was like, "Oh, come on, bring it on." What did fucking Sweet Tea do? Fucking put it on him and knocked him out, kicked his arse. I think his options at the weight are now getting limited. There's no really a great. Well, so because he stepped up, he beat this de facto number 1 guy, he became the lineal champ. But he's not going to fight Burns in a rematch. That guy beat Trojanowski the other week there. I don't know if he would even take a unification fight there. So you've got Bartholomew. Jack Cattrall's not going to take the fight, obviously. Frankie Gomez, I think, is a house fighter as well. I think. So I think his options are really limited at that weight. So I think at some point in the next 12 to 18 months, we're going to have to see him up at welterweight. He's got to try and get these breakout fights. I mean, he's pound for pound ranked. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, he's a two-weight lineal undisputed champion. Oh, sorry, 2-weight lineal champ. So I think he's got to go up the welterweight, look for the bigger names, and get a couple of breakout fights. But he really needs Bob the Ballfire to try and make one of these fights where some of the Heyman fighters badly needs it, because obviously, like say, your Amir Khan, Peterson, Berto to a certain point, Garcia, if his fight's ever going to happen. Well, obviously he's fighting Thurman, isn't he? So maybe even Brook, so.
Yeah, I'm ready for him to start moving up, even if he does it gradually, maybe a catchweight in the middle like all these other Heyman bitches have been doing. I kind of doubt he'll do that. But like maybe meet Lamont Peterson at 144. Something besides Bartholomew, though. Francis Bartholomew, he's decent. He did school Mickey Bates fairly well. And I guess it's at least a step up from Molina towards the next level, which Crawford is already at. But Bartholomew was tweeting last night. What did he say? I quoted it here.
Just while you're looking for it, actually, I mean, see, the only credit I can give Molina last night was the fact that he pushed Crawford back. He kind of basically made Crawford having to get into a fight, basically, kind of let his hands go, because see, if you allow Crawford to dictate his own pace and that, it's just going to turn into a 12-round snoozer. So you got to give credit for kind of putting it on him, but at the same time, as he looked fucker awful doing it, his balance was off, his jab was shocking, he just got fucking picked off. And says, I was really glad to see him actually kind of like, inviting Sweet Tea in, because I was really saying, right, okay, go for it, and he fucking did it.
He actually deleted it. Bartholomew tweeted right after the fight something along the lines of, soon we will see who the real best at 140 pounds is. And then I quoted it. I said, we already know who it is. It's Terence Crawford. And then he deleted it and liked my tweet.
Dave, changing minds. Andy, it was remiss of me to skip over Abner Mares, Jesus Cuellar without getting your 2 pence worth on it. Sorry about that.
No, it's just obviously it's been mad this week trying to watch boxing, but yeah, it was a decent enough fight, I suppose. It was one of the type of fights where it's like, both dived into kind of let punches go, and then they would kind of pop out a distance. I think I had it 116, 111 for Mares. It was, as I said, a decent enough fight. It's no fight of the year contender shit or anything like that, but relatively clean, I thought. I mean, there were a couple of head clashes, that's to be expected with the kind of 2 different stances or whatever, but yeah, I mean, Mares, fair play to him. Basically his career was at a crossroad there, so he's basically got himself back into contention for another couple of decent paydays at least. So yeah, decent enough fight. But Cuellar, I don't know, have these guys met before? Try to think. I don't know if there might be any much call for a rematch here. No, no. No, so as I say, maybe a wee rematch involved there, because I can't really see where else Mares is going to go on. He's going to maybe look for Santa Cruz rematch, maybe, but he's obviously going to be tied up until at least summertime. So,
Right. At this time, just like to remind you, we've got Adam Smith on the panel with us. Hey to Dave Loback, Andy Patterson, and Kurt Ward. Don't forget, guys, to go over and like the Facebook page, subscribe to YouTube, and leave us a review on iTunes. It's December, so nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. Before we go on to the previews for next week, we've got Bernard Hopkins, obviously, against Joe Smith Jr. There's a card in India, and we shall also scoot through whatever else we have. The Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., was he fighting Dominic Britch? Did anybody see this?
I didn't even know this was on, seriously.
I watched a couple of rounds, mate. I think he pretty much dominated from start to finish, just basically his sheer size. I mean, that fight was at a catch weight, 169 pounds. I'm sure that Bretch is actually, I'm sure he's a career middleweight, so that tells you all you need to know.
What's the point in 169 pounds?
So you can't make 168 or 160 even for that matter.
Does he just keep dieting, Kurt? Does he just keep dieting and say 170? Or I could maybe make 169. We'll say 169 then.
Yeah, the problem is when he could make middleweight, then he blew up to like 190 odd pounds, and he could use his size to bully opponents. I mean, let's be honest, someone like Andy Lee should beat Chavez Jr., but the size difference, ultimately told, and he wore him down when he stepped up to like heavyweight, which he's probably the correct weight for him. He hasn't got that same, and then he has to rely on his talent, which he has improved over the years, but he clearly hasn't got the talent to win. So now he's stuck where he wants to make 168 because he can still balloon up and use that size advantage, but he's struggling to even make that. So he's in a tough spot. He can still use his name and to make these demands, and guys that he fought last night, he'll always overcome, but. He will get a world title shot because he's Chavez. Whether he'll make the weight, who knows? But he's not gonna surely beat someone like Digal or Badou Jack. He's not good enough, and at this weight he hasn't got the size and the strength to overall these opponents, and he hasn't got the ability to beat them. So I don't really care about him anymore. He's a fun guy to watch, but if he can't even make weight and he's in shit shape, then there's no point. Against From Fire, it was a fun fight, but ultimately he got badly beaten down by a guy who's really fringe level, to be honest. A guy any top guy will beat. So I don't see where he can really go if he's struggling to make 168.
Steve,
yes,
just on back to the top rank card. Sorry, Beltran. I thought that was the best we've seen him for a while. Started fast. Cracking finish to the fight. The opponent squared himself up terribly and Beltran just whacked him with a left hook, and that was the end of that fight. But I think Beltran would be, if the opportunities aren't brilliant in America, he does normally tend to find an opportunity, to be fair to him, but I wouldn't mind him back over in the UK, to be honest. Beltran, I think he's good value. And
Fighting who?
Well, I mean, at lightweight, I mean, I know it might be a little bit early for some of them, but we've got some pretty talented lightweights. You know, we've got the likes of Luke Campbell at a lower level. We seen O'Hara Davis last week. Not saying that O'Hara's ready for that at all, but you know, we've got quite a few lightweights over here. Some that he would beat, like Scott Cardle, and some what would be a good fight, like Luke Campbell. So I think there's a few options for him over here, but like I say, he normally does tend to get an opportunity in America by hook or by crook. And I know you mentioned that Monahan. I've never seen him before, but I didn't score it. But one of the top-ranked commentators had Monahan losing that fight to the Mexican that was about 2 weights above where he should be, who looked a bit chubby. So I thought,
I don't really rate Monahan. I know he's a big ticket seller. He shifts about 2,000 in New York, which is fine, but he's not been stepped up for a reason, and the reason is he's not very good, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Anything else from the weekend that I may have missed?
Very trivial, Steve. But I noticed last night, and I liked it on the Matchroom show, that all the fighters were wearing the same branded gloves. I like that. I think that brings more of a level playing field feel about the show. It probably don't make any difference in theory, but I liked it.
Adam, if it makes you feel better, then it's okay with me.
Good. Thank you.
Right, we get sent in a lot of questions on this show, and I know some people get a bit pissed off, but I mean, something has to give. I don't know. A guy was saying earlier that we didn't spend enough time talking about Yafai Concepcion, for example, but as Andy would know, something has to give, otherwise you'd be here for 15 hours. So if we don't read your question out, all I can do is apologise. But before we get on to the previews for next week, I'm going to read a question out from Geordie McDonough. Whoever wants to jump in on this one, feel free. But Geordie's saying, which fighter in each division would you say is the best test for a prospect before fighting for a world strap? So basically, the fighter that the Matchroom guy needs but never has, since very few are properly prepared for that step up in class when it comes. This could actually bring in the likes of Callum Smith. You know, is he going to be properly prepared when he moves up to world class? Has he fought that Chilemba, not Chilemba himself, but that type of opponent? Can anybody think of that gatekeeper type that's knocking around the world scene?
Knocking around the actual, like, on the cusp of, like, world scene.
Yeah, who the guy that you should fight that takes you through to the next level to say whether you're ready for world class or not. Geordie McDonough doesn't think that Matchroom fighters get this fight enough, basically. I think he's right.
You're right, because there was, like, see in the past that you could actually think of a couple of names like Jerry Celestin, for instance, who like heavyweight, you know, guys who were like top 10 ranked like heavyweights, for example, you know, and you knew you could come in against like a champion and put up a decent performance, etc. You know, Kamitsky's always done something, I suppose, but you know, what do you call him, Randall Bailey sometimes. But people were talking about him before the Jeff Horn fight, but then he quit. Who was that guy that Jeff Horn fought last night? That Ali Funeka. I mean,
Ali Funeka, he looked like an emaciated version of Bernard Hopkins, I thought.
He was awful, absolutely awful. At world level, cruiserweight, maybe Masterlack at cruiserweight.
Beltran might be one.
Yeah, if you get through him, you're ready for the next step, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Diablo, Vidalchik. See, he won last night.
Matchroom do have a couple of guys that they use, don't they? I mean, someone like Carson Jones they bring over. Martin Murray as well can be, I think, he's one that I'm surprised hasn't already been put in with someone like Callum Smith, just to, you know, as the typical, they probably make a grudge match out of it, and just someone to, he's been in with these, you know, so many different guys, you know, should have maybe beat Sergio Martinez, use that angle. So there's a few guys there, but it's just someone who we just want guys, you know, we've not just because anyone can have a good record, but if they never fought no one, you know, just guys who are not just coming over just to get turned over, basically, who have, you know, more than just a little bit of ambition. They're actually coming to win. And, you know, look at that fight yesterday between Charlo and Williams. I mean, two on paper, you know, really evenly matched guys, and it was going to be a really tough fight. You know, they're the type of fights we need. You know, Dillian White against Chisora, all right, we didn't expect it to be a good fight, but, you know, Chisora at his best will always give, you know, White problems, you know, and that in Chisora, you know, was really good last night. So just fights where guys have ambition and they're coming to win, and not just, you know, just overmatched and basically know they haven't got a prayer before they've even stepped in the ring.
It's funny though, that AJ's best opponent or best win actually went life and death with a fucking like almost shell a Del Boy. Think about that for a second.
Could I throw up you out there?
Yep.
Fuck, have you been?
Sorry, I just had some work I had to take care of.
No.
Sorry. But
Okay.
at 168, I think you got to go Darnell Boone.
Okay.
I think that anytime he's in the ring with you, and you have the thing is though is that you can't announce the fight and make it TBA and announce that he's going to fight the guy in 4 weeks or something like that. I mean, if you give the guy the benefit of a full training camp, he will give your prospect a very good test. I think at 160. You have Turiano Johnson, who's always been at the cusp of world level, as well as Curtis Stevens. Well, I think, that's somebody that ideally you'd want someone to fight and get through those type of guys before they would get a shot at, say, Golovkin.
Shavakov at lightweight as well.
Shavakov at lightweight. At 154, who is the guy that knocked out one of Mayweather's fighters? There was a Porky Medina.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's...
he sparked Jalen Love brutally.
Yeah, that Jalen Love. Yeah,
Did he not fight the Gill?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people actually had that a really close fight, even if you had him winning that fight, because De Gale took his foot off the gas and that could twat.
Yeah. 147. Yeah, I mean, at 147 or 154, I like Carson Jones. He always, again, if you give him enough time to train and get in shape, he's an upset maker. At 140, maybe who's that guy that narrowly lost to Vargas? Russian fella.
What Vargas?
Jesse Vargas. He lost to Jesse Vargas.
Alec Verdiev.
Yeah. So yeah. He's a good gatekeeper. 140, 135. Yeah, I think Andy was saying Shafikov. 130. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you guys can maybe fill in the blank.
Yeah, don't worry too much.
Rocky Martinez.
The other one too. I was
Rocky Martinez.
Rocky Martinez. Yeah. Oh yeah, good shout there. And also I forgot up at heavyweight also is up at heavyweight. I mean, if you give him enough time to train, Tony Thompson.
Jason Gavin.
Yeah, Jason Gavin.
But if you remember as well, I mean, someone like Sergey Kamitsky was a good one as well. I mean, he knocked out Buglioni, beat John Ryder. I mean, 2 upsets right there on British guys. So prospects, a guy who you're not going to probably knock out, so you're going to have to do got a distance with, a very tough man. Guys like that who they're going to have to, probably adapt mid-fight and, show how good they are and get through it. If you're good enough, you should beat that guy. But if you're not, as Buglioni and Ryder found out, then you're probably level.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that one there, guys, and go on to next week's action because Andy's thrown a few box rec schedules my way, so there's plenty going on. I'm going to throw this one out firstly, but don't spend any inordinate amount of time on this one at all. One of our listeners tweeted me earlier and he said, don't forget about the Indian card. But according to BoxRec, Andy, the only fight that's registered on that is Vijender Singh against Francis Checker. Checker's one of these African guys who's been around for ages. He's not really very good. So I'm not really that fussed on this show, to be honest. No offence to our friend.
Aye. I mean, let's be honest, mate. It's shit. And Singh's not all that great as well. And that's not been racist. That's just been factual.
Yeah, I think we'll move on from that
one. But thank you for coming.
Here, we'll move on, I think, to the French card. Hassan Ndam against Alfonso Blanco, Michel Soro, Nuhu Lawal. Yuriorkis Gamboa is returning against Malcolm Klassen. Klassen should be retired a long time ago. Anybody interested in this one?
No.
Well, obviously to see what Gamboa is like. Obviously, Soro, I know he's quite highly ranked. I think he's he not a light middleweight. I think he could be my Charlo opponent at some point.
Wasn't he supposed to be fighting Liam Smith at one point? Wasn't that? And then
Thompson.
Thompson.
For the vacant title, wasn't he? And something where he couldn't get the money or something.
That's right. Aye.
Is Alfonso Blanco worth anything?
He's 12-0. That's all I know. Couldn't tell you a thing about him other than that, Dave.
So yeah, that's a decent fight. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, he's interim champion, right? So there's no reason to bring that title into play because Golovkin's obviously been active and shit, and Jacobs has been semi-active. But guess who they bring in to fucking fight for the title? Hassan Ndam. How the fuck does he come back to the Olympics, right? I don't think he's fucking fought since the Olympics, and then he gets a fucking world title shot, or supposed world title shot. How the fuck?
That's the world of the sanctioning bodies for you, Andy. But you're not going to get, you're not going to feel any better.
Who's Ndam fighting?
Alfonso Blanco. Blanco means white in Spanish, I think, Donny, doesn't it?
Yes.
There you go. There's a fact about that fight for you. Anything else?
The guys from Venezuela trains
what
out of.
are they fighting for?
I don't know. I've put the page off now. Gone on to
Interim WBA
interim
title.
WBA. But the
wait,
guys
I thought
from
the interim
Venezuela.
WBA is Jacobs.
No, he's got the regular title and fucking Golovkin's got the
they're
super
doing this
title.
shit again.
Told you, Donny. You told me a couple of months back. They're trying to sort it out. Oh, they're trying to sort it out. Andy Patterson just basically steps right in there, tells you how it's going to go down, and it still continues. Stop fucking fighting against me, Donny. Join the revolution.
Yeah, I believe Dan Rayfield. That was my first problem.
Fuck.
I give Alfonso Blanco credit for going to France to fight for a title.
He's not going to France, actually. It's one of those. Isn't it?
Reunion?
Aye. It's one of the.
French island, colony island, or something like that.
It's
Is it?
Dominion somewhere. Aye. There's no. I can't remember what it is.
Aye.
The Americans. The Americans want to know what it is because they do kind of geography.
Neither do I. Have previous bad form in this. Remember my Tasmanian error, so I'm going to leave that one parked, Andy. I'm not getting involved in any geographical disputes. Instead, let's go over to Russia, shall we? Just before we go to the Hopkins fight, Alexander Povetkin, where failing drugs tests needn't to be a hindrance to your career at all. We've got Povetkin against Stiverne for the interim WBC World Heavyweight title. Smido, doesn't matter what you pump yourself up with, you can still fight for a title, man. Let's just get on with it.
Both have been caught with drugs.
If you're Russian, you can do what you want. And then even if you're Russian and you lose and you get juiced and you still manage to lose, then you just juice the other fella's drink or food or steak or, in-flight food or Jamaican food, whatever it may be with Bermain Stiverne. We will beat you, whether it be in the ring or outside the ring. I don't know. I mean, I like watching Povetkin. He often does get into good scraps, but I mean, Stiverne. What has this man done to be fighting for an interim world WBC world title? And for once, the interim carries more validity than it normally does. The word interim, because Deontay Wilder is injured. So I mean, what has Stiverne done? Honestly, please tell me what Stiverne's done to get this opportunity.
For the drugs test.
Brilliant.
He landed a punch on Wilder.
Superb.
And then spent about fucking 2 years. Well, it was about 2 years ago, but then spent about 2 months in the hospital, fucking saying he had some sort of bug that was causing dehydration and shit.
Yeah, I mean it's obvious, isn't it? You got the WBC and you got Don King. That's the link right there, haven't you? Really, that's his link to forever get title shots from the WBC.
The ghost of Suleiman lives long, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good fight, to be honest. I mean, Povetkin's been out the ring for a long time now. I wasn't that impressed with his last performance against Wack, and it even gave me reason to think Wilder might beat him, to be honest. Stiverne, obviously, we know he's not up to much. Hopefully he turns up in shape. I mean, it's never a good sign when you're saying you hope the guy turns up in decent shape, because he just turns up 260 pounds, then, he's just got no hope. But hopefully he turns up like he did against Arreola, where, he's trimmed down a bit. The fact is, he's not fighting a big guy. They're both around the same height. Stiverne will probably be bigger. And as we saw against Arreola, he had 2 good fights with Arreola, similar, same guys, so, in height-wise. So, these 2 guys, Povetkin can be hit and Stiverne can punch. So it's a good fight, but you think Povetkin should have enough to probably take it on points, or maybe a late stoppage, but more likely a points win for Povetkin. It depends, doesn't it? I mean, we make jokes about it, but when he's on the juice, he looks devastating, doesn't he, as a puncher?
Awesome.
And this is a battle of 2 guys who have both failed tests. So, he's got no problem fighting Povetkin because he's probably on as much juice as well. So
I think he failed for the same thing. Booty got caught for, was it Osterine or something it was called? Pretty sure that's what it was. Here, I've noticed the Russians are getting their shit tested by the British now, by the way. I've read some weather report last night about it. Just to let you know,
I think it's sad. The biggest test for these 2 guys, Andy, will be pissing into a cup at the end of the day, but it could be a decent fight. I think I'm going to say that Povetkin. No, I'm going to go for points. I think.
Yeah.
I felt like a 10th or 11th round knockout, but Stiverne's a tough old nut, and I think Povetkin's on the slide. Not greatly, but he's been inactive as well, and I don't think he's going to knock him out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you think about it, you know, even though he claims to not being the greatest of shape for a while, he did take a lot of shots and he took it up, he soaked it up. But Povetkin, as I say, this will be the diet version of Povetkin, so I can see it going the distance myself. You know, hopefully, yeah, it's Kurt's right as well, man. I mean, it's actually sad that you're actually kind of saying to yourself, you know, you're hoping he turns up in shape. It should be the fucking norm for these fighters nowadays. You should be living the life. You should not be far off their fighting weight as it is. You know, people were getting out their pram about Lewis Concepcion the other day there as well, and obviously there's John Molina and stuff, you know. So yeah, hopefully, good shape, and you know, it's another Russian card. So hopefully, these Russian cards generally tend to deliver. So hopefully, we get another good fight.
Okay, let's go on to the big one next week, guys. Bernard Hopkins in the Forum, Inglewood, California. He's fighting for the WBC International Light Heavyweight title. The title is absolutely meaningless. It's all about Hopkins. Hopefully, he'll call it a day after this fight against Joe Smith Jr., who's coming in having knocked out Fonfara. Other than that, we didn't really know too much about him. He could be a puncher. It could have been a Lawrence Murphy against Wayne Elcock situation. Dangerous Dave Lee. We'll be loving that reference. On the undercard, Alexander Usyk. Really pleased to see him keeping active against Tabiso Machuno. Jason Quigley against Jorge Melendez. Joseph Diaz against Horacio Garcia. Decent card, actually. Not too bad at all. Right, who are we going to get in on first? Donny. We haven't heard enough Donny tonight, and I'm going to have to rectify this situation. Tell us about B-Hop, Usyk, or whatever you want, Donald.
Well, first of all, this is interesting because, you know, how much does Hopkins really have left? I mean, you know, every time we think he can't turn back the clock, of course he always does, and he always surprises us. And if this is going to be his last fight, and hopefully it is, you know, I think he couldn't have picked a better opponent, a good chance with, because Joe Smith Jr., at least up until the Fonfara fight, now I don't know if things have changed, but it was basically a part-time fighter. You know, sells a lot of tickets over there in New York because he's a union construction guy, right? He works on building sites or whatever. He wears his hard hat, and then at the end of the day, you know, after the day is done, he goes over to the gym and he trains, and he still works a regular job. Now maybe they're giving him a little bit of a leave of absence or something, obviously to go fight Bernard Hopkins. But I mean, he really hasn't been, you know, a full-time fighter for very long, if he even is right now. And you know, I mean, he's like sort of the typical blue-collar, you know, guy, you know, Batman, let's be frank, like a white guy from, you know, the Long Island suburbs, and then who, like, you know, would work a day job and then go fight. You haven't seen those type of guys since like the 1950s. And you know, and obviously he has a lot of fans because he has that persona about him. But at the same time, I mean, when you talk about a guy who really treats fighting like a, you know, like a part-time occupation, who scored a big upset over Fonfara, going in there with an absolute master of the craft like Bernard Hopkins, really, it's going to be, you know, sort of the youth and vigor that Joe Smith brings to the ring, versus just sort of the, you know, the time, you know, so much time honed in the gym, all of those skills, all of that veteran grit and guile of Bernard Hopkins. But, you know, of course, the biggest opponent for Hopkins in this one will be Father Time. You know, I mean, I think that it'll be very interesting to see, can Hopkins just do this one more time? My gut says yes, but I almost kind of hope it doesn't, because I feel like he'll get the itch to fight again if he does.
Dangerous Dave, I think that it's pretty much nailed on that Hopkins wins this. I'm looking down Smith's record, and the Fonfara fight, he could have improved. It could be an anomaly, though. He's beaten a lot of the usual suspects: Otis Griffin, Michael Gabenga, Corey Cummings, his name's on the record, Will Rosinski. Nothing too out of the ordinary. The sole loss coming in 2010 against Eddie Caminero could have just been a freak knockout. Don't know anything about it. He's been handpicked, I think. Old Father Time has to catch up with Hopkins at some point, but I think he's going to go out on a victory.
I hope he does, and I hope this is the end. Because, I mean, there's only so far down, so many times he can go to the well. And Hopkins hasn't taken too much damage through his career, although he started to at the end of his last fight. Yeah, this isn't that meaningful, but it'll be nice to see Hopkins one more time. Kind of wish I was going to be there in person, because I'm a big fan of Hopkins. I think he's going to probably do this against a guy. Joe Smith's big win. I mean, it is a big win. It puts the so-called man at light heavyweight to shame. He dealt with Fanfara inside a round. That's all I've ever seen of Joe Smith too. But could it have been a fluke? Who knows? He's never fought anybody else of note. Hopkins has fought everybody of note, pretty much. So I'm going to favor Hopkins on points here, but I wouldn't be that shocked to see Joe Smith win this, because Hopkins has to get old eventually.
Kurt, Hopkins has to get old eventually. He is pretty old, isn't he? The career, the resume, the Hall of Fame, all these things are absolutely beyond doubt. He has to hang them up after this. He told his mom, I think he was going to retire at 45 or something. She passed away and he carried on. The bug is 40. There. But, was it 40, was it?
Yeah, 40.
Right. Apologies, Kurt. There you go. 11 years ago, then, in fact, it was 14. He's still going on. It's about time he hung them up. And what do you think about this one, about Smith as an opponent?
Well, that Fanfara victory, I think, is an anomaly, to be fair. I think he just got caught cold, but you can't take that away from Smith. I mean, that is an impressive victory, considering Fanfara was coming off 2 big wins over Chavez and Cleverly, a really good fight with Cleverly. No one expected that, and it's easy to say now Fanfara isn't that good, but nobody expected him to do that, and he did. This fight, it's, even though Hopkins is 51, 52, whatever he is, he just knows too much, and he'll probably win on points. And to be honest, I've been a critic of Hopkins for a while, and but obviously always respected him, and I've really come to respect him, in the last few years. And I hope he gets the victory, and I hope he, goes out into the sunset, because I think this will be his last fight, no matter what happens. I just hope it is, because he doesn't want to carry on. It's already beyond ridiculous how he's even managed to go this long. And no matter what you think of the guy, whether you like him or not, enjoy his style or not, to be fighting at this level at this age, I mean, it's just unheard of. It's insane to see, to be honest. And like his last fight, gone in there with Kovalev at his age, massive respect to the guy and for all that he's done. And I hope he does get the win, but it's hard to say, against the opponent, because we haven't seen too much of him. We've seen that impressive first round knockout, but it's probably an anomaly. And he'll be going in, thinking he can beat, an old man, but Hopkins has seen it all and done it all. So I hope, as someone who's not been a biggest fan of his, I hope he gets the win and then calls it a day. But the fight I'm really looking forward to is Machunu against Usyk.
Yeah, go ahead on that, Kurt. Yeah,
I mean, I'm a big fan of Machunu. The problem is in this fight is it's a bad start for him. I mean, Usyk is absolutely huge. He's like heavyweight. He's 6'3", 6'4", really tall guy. Moves around. He's not just flat-footed either. Machunu, he's so tiny for the weight, to be honest, against all these other guys. I think he's like 5'10", maybe 5'9" even. He was dwarfed by Makabu, and we saw how small he was against Tony Bellew. So that's the problem for him. He's got all the skills, but he's just going to be, I think, too small, and he's going to have to try and get in close. And Usyk's just such a mobile guy for the height and for the weight. It's going to be hard for him. But I give Usyk a lot of credit, because to face Machunu in only, but I think this is his 11th fight. Maybe a lot of guys might not think too highly of Machunu because he lost to Makabu, but if you see that fight, I thought he was winning that quite comfortably until his noted stamina started kicking in, and then Makabu took over. But he's still an extremely talented fighter, and I think he'll lose this fight. But I think he'll give Usyk a few problems initially, I think, but Usyk will take over.
Fight though, mate. Yeah, but a boring one. I think early doors, because Machunu fights off the back foot. Usyk's going to have to be the lead in this fight, obviously, and he likes to kind of sit back sometimes as well and look for counters. So it could be a wee bit of a boring one until he tries and figures them out a little bit.
I'll say that Kurt's absolutely right. A huge step up for his 11th fight. You don't see guys taking on dangerous opponents who have no title and not a lot of virtually no fan following to offer. This is all risk, no reward really for Usyk, and he's fighting him anyways. And I know we often say, well, we shouldn't give respect for guys for doing what they should do anyways. But in this climate of boxing where people don't do that kind of stuff, mad respect for Usyk. Definitely a great fight there on the undercard. A can't miss attraction, I think. And I think it'll tell us a lot about where Usyk really is. I can see Usyk kind of being, it's not as quick, but it's kind of resemblant of the same track that Lomachenko has taken, where he just is stepping up right away, right after the Olympic gold medal and everything, and he's just coming right into the pros and just taking on big challenges, and this is great. This is great to see.
Smido, before you tell us about Hopkins, on the Facebook page, Jamie Simpson, he's a betting man like yourself. He's gone for the stoppage. He says, please tell me, Smido, that you're as confident in Usyk to stop Machunu as I am.
Well, given the factors that Kurt spoke about with the size, then yeah, you would have to be you'd have to be in the Usyk camp for a knockout. I'll just get you the odds here. On Hopkins, I'm not really interested anymore. I think, fair enough, if he wants one last fight, he can have it. But, is it necessary? Because if he wins, then he's going to want to go on again, as the guys have already mentioned. So, I would rather go out at the time fighting the top guy at light heavyweight as a 50-year-old or whatever he was. I know he lost ultimately, but he could have just gone out on that. He's come a long way down from Sergei Kovalev to Joe Smith. Back to Usyk, he is 1-2 for the knockout, so the bookies are confident that Usyk will knock out Machunu.
The other thing too that's not to be discounted with odds, I can't help but think of George Foreman versus Shannon Briggs here, where Foreman really beat Shannon Briggs, but I almost feel like the judges were kind of giving him a signal. Hey, Big George, it's time to hang him up, and they voted for Briggs anyways. I wouldn't be surprised here to see Hopkins eke out what we think would be a narrow victory, only to have it go against him on the cards, just because I think there might be that sort of lingering feeling that maybe he should hang him up. I don't know.
Yeah, but he is a legend, and the opposite to that is, would they go against the legend?
Will they go against the legend? Asked Smith. Right. Hater Dave Loback has personally requested that we do the Bellew of the Week. I'm going to have to go soon because my youngest daughter is screaming her lungs out upstairs, and I'm worried someone's going to phone social services. So we better get through the Bellew of the Week as quickly as we can. Dave, did you say you had one to stick in?
I have a couple nominees.
Excellent stuff. Let me go through mine first, and I'll come to you in a second,
go
just as long as you had some. Excuse me, guys. Right, nomination for the Daily Mirror. Chisora loses out to American on points. Okay, the sub-editor's going to get fired for that one, I think. Bellew the nomination for Froch, says the barman. Froch apparently last night said, I'm sick of hearing about Wembley. What, from yourself? Nomination for Liam Gallagher, who said, another one bites the dust. AJ, the new Ali.
Fuck.
And good one thrown in from Richie Woodall on BBC 5 Live. That will have put shivers down Klitschko's spine, says Woodall, Roland, April 2017. There's some bad ones in this week. Tony Bellew described the amazing Chisora versus White fight as a war of malnutrition. John Murray got a nomination for calling Derek Chisora Chisoria.
Fucking malnutrition. Fucking brilliant.
Matthew Macklin called Katie Taylor the female Lomachenko.
Bunce said that after our fucking debut, man.
They're just throwing the hyperbole about the place. What about Tommy Coyle? He said, I appreciate how skillful Ortiz is, but Olympians just don't entertain me. They are more like sword fencers. Joshua, however, is an exception. Well, yeah, of course he would be. And Ortiz isn't an Olympian anyway, is he?
Then he deleted the tweet when he got told Luke Campbell fucking schooled him, and who was the other one? There was another name they threw out there somewhere. Saunders, maybe. I can't remember who it was. He deleted the tweet though.
Smido threw this one in from Dale Nichols. Bellew the Week nomination for the WBA commissioner, as if Quigg's belt wasn't bad enough, but he put it on upside down.
That was a disgrace. That was a distress call to Panama. Oh, fuck, belted this guy again.
A lot of hate for Carl Froch last night. Steve Mank said Froch has an absolutely deplorable lack of knowledge on anything boxing related. No substance to any of his points.
Yep, he's a casual. Absolute fucking casual. Stealing away. Hey, listen, this is the reason why I hate fucking paying extra for Sky, by the way, because you get constantly Terry Henry on £4 million a year. Where's fucking Carl Froch earning, by the way, for that fucking effort? Shite. Johnny Nelson and all.
Dread to think. Andy, you'll like this one from Next Big Fight. We now have a world champion in every weight class. Amazing. And a little Union Jack. I think Sky were peddling this myth as well, weren't they?
I like to know who the strawweight champion we've got. Jimmy Wild died fucking years ago, man.
Jack Rice has nominated himself for saying that Callum Smith would knock Blackledge out in a round, so he's hanging his head in shame. Top Rank Boxing got thrown in as well. Which fight are you most fixing to see? I thought that was quite a strange way of putting it to start off with. Fixing to see land a huge win on their title fight tonight.
That's a Southern United States.
Yeah, I thought that, Donny, but I just thought with boxing it was a bit of an unfortunate phraseology. But it says, which one are you looking forward to seeing most to put a win in their title fight tonight? Terence Crawford, Ray Beltran, or Andy Ruiz? Well, Ruiz had already lost by this point. So they obviously weren't watching that one, the Top Rank Twitter people. Nomination for Rachel Smith. She tweeted at Eddie and Anthony Joshua. First fight I've missed tonight. Couldn't get any tickets in time, so I'm supporting from the sofa tonight. Team AJ.
David Hayes scorecard of 116 for Haiti White Gisora.
Yeah, he scored the first 2 rounds a draw.
He had as many 10-10 rounds as Duran Leonard judged, didn't he?
He fucking did. I tell you what, by the way, did he even give fucking Chisora even a fucking inch of credit there last night, by the way? He was so fucking down on him, it was unbelievable.
Everything he said would come back to giving himself praise, didn't it?
Aye.
Yeah.
Like, it was not until I knocked somebody out and then everyone
He's always got a great chin. Dillian White's hitting him with big shots. He's got a great chin. I mean, I knocked him out, but, Dillian White's hitting him with some big shots. He's like Carl Froch. He does exactly the same thing, doesn't he?
Yeah. One heavyweight that I'm sick of is Shannon Briggs, but apparently not everyone is. Shannon Briggs' super fan shows off his tattoo dedicated to the champion.
There was a video of one fan trying to get a hold of him last night in the arena and he got dragged away by security, eh? There's a video kicking him at Twitter. I'll send it to you now.
Flip me. The WBA should have got a title on the line for that fight, Andy. Could have been a good win on Briggs' record.
Could have been, mate.
This is a good one. This is all alien to me. TMZ Sports, Nick Blaine put this forward. Adrian Broner loses threesome sex tape case. Protect your hoe phone. I don't really quite know what that's all about. Maybe Donny would know more about that.
That was the one where he shagged the 2 sewer rats. Remember, well, right. The tattoos are all spelled wrong, and he had the phone planked in the corner. He got the BBD out, fucking plundering away like a fucking good one. I know he's lost his court case. It gets even better, man. I wish he'll need to go to Al Heyman for that fucking money to pay him off. What a fucking
oh dear. Nomination for Cal Stones, he said during the week. Fights off. Chisora banned for 6 months by the British board. Bit unfair on Del Boy in my opinion, but glad it's pulled.
I think he was in a troll with that one. I think Cal.
Oh, was he? Someone sent it to me, so apologies, Cal. I forgot that one wrong. Shannon Briggs. Oh, you've been nominated, Andy, by Ben North for saying Shannon Briggs flown over as a last-minute replacement. Log it.
I wasn't far away, though, mate. I wasn't far away. The British board were close to suspending fucking Chisora, so it could have been. You never know.
Was it because Chisora was throwing shit at the presser?
Yeah, I think some folk kind of believed that it might get called off in that, because I think he got fined about 25,000 for that carry on and a 2-year probation. 2-year probation, fucking hell.
Knows, he probably made himself an extra 100,000 with those antics.
No.
Andy Pops, our friend, former podcast member, Bellew of the Week for Bob Arum. Parker has natural skills and punches so hard, but Andy Ruiz has the fastest hands since Muhammad Ali.
Huh.
Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s trainer. If Julio is well prepared, he beats Golovkin.
Aye, okay.
Yeah,
fucking what a taco eating contest.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Kurt.
I was going to say, what a taco eating contest. I mean, come on.
Yeah, also another one for Chavez. Also, so apparently he beat some fella in Germany. I think his name is Dominic Britsch. Is that his name?
Yeah.
German,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and so anyways, he said, I'm totally back now, and I'm ready to take on Golovkin, which I find it funny because, of course, he was offered, what was it, $7 million to fight Golovkin? And instead of doing that, decided to spend 2.5 years out of the ring fighting with Bob Arum to get out of that fight. And now, after, basically being knocked out by Fanfara and just totally embarrassing himself over and over again, he comes back, beats some, nobody, and says, now I'm ready for Golovkin. Just totally pathetic. I mean, that guy really needs the shit knocked out of him to just go away permanently. That's a disgrace.
That's a disgrace, says Donny. Hard-hitting words from the controversial one as ever. Sporting Icons says Enzo Macronelli should call out Johnny Nelson for a retirement match. I'd pay pay-per-view for that. Bloody hell. The Daily Telegraph had Conor Benn listed as fighting at superweight. Not quite sure what that is. Oh, here's a good one that I like. Spencer Fearon on toe-to-toe telling Ian Lewison that you are 2 fights away from being a multi-millionaire.
How does he know that?
What
Fearon,
if he happens to get the 2 biggest fights and wins them both?
Don't get me started on Fearon, Dave. He's a sycophant. He's a company shit. No, I'm not going on down that line again. Nomination for... Oh, gosh, I've lost that one. Sorry about this. Or a bullshit belt alert from D-Dog. The interim Global Boxing Union world title was back on the line again in Togo. I think you were telling me about some bullshit belts earlier as well, Andy, weren't you? Universal Federation of something or other.
It's a vacant title though, mate. Get it right. Who the fuck was fighting for it again?
Oh, I've no idea, to be honest with you. Well, it might have been on BoxRec, because BoxRec have Scott Quigg above Rigondo, apparently, on their ratings.
Oh, fuck, that's annoying me, actually, because it's a named fighter is fighting for his fucking title. Oh, who the fuck?
You did show it to me, but I can't quite remember.
Come back to me, I'll find it out.
No problem. Nomination for Team FA. The Joshua Molina card is unreal. 10 fights, 6 title bouts, and people are complaining about the pay-per-view. Darren Barker, he deleted this shortly after. Tony Bellew knocks out Ortiz, most cruiserweights would.
He asked me for a stream last night.
Did he?
Hi. I told him it was illegal. We'd never go back to it.
Yeah, I saw that. He said it was his last resort. He was at a pub with the family in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So how's he getting Wi-Fi connection then? Or 4G coverage if it's that fucking shit? If I've not got internet coverage or TV coverage in a place that you're staying, chances are they're not going to have fucking 4G either. No, he's at it. Tight bastard.
Daljit Sangera was on the scrounge over the weekend. He sent this tweet, this cut and copied tweet to Anthony Joshua, to Amir Khan, Tony Bellew, Carl Froch. This would be going to be a bit cheeky here, but can you please get me tickets for Joshua's fight on Saturday? Would really appreciate it. I don't think poor old Daljit got the tickets in the end.
Found it. Sorry,
go
mate.
Ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Hank Lundy, he's fighting some guy called John Delperdang. And Emmanuel Taylor, the Reno fight, fucking
Broner. Yeah.
They're fighting for a vacant Universal Boxing Federation World Welterweight title.
Who's he fighting? Pronounce the surname.
John Delperdang.
Sounds like a fucking Fritz or sex toy, doesn't it?
That sounds like one of Donny's made-up names. I'm loving that, Delperdang. Right, go on. Who's got any nominations for me?
Yeah, I've got one. Tom Maltby on Twitter for posting up this picture of Sid from Toy Story, saying that he just noticed that it looks like Scott Quigg.
You could see Quigg burning like cats and stuff. They were toys, couldn't you?
I can see that.
Who else?
Obviously, David Hay for that scorecard, 160 was fucking awful. And that Shannon Briggs fan that got dragged away. I think there's a video. I think it was Boxing Tipster that posted it out. Actually, you need to go and see this. He's basically this guy's got this Anthony Joshua T-shirt on, right? And he's shouting to Shannon Briggs, and I fucking forget what he said again. But Shannon Briggs is just absolutely pissing himself laughing at it. It's absolutely fucking brilliant.
Right, Hater, who you got for us?
All right. Well, I don't know if this actually deserves to be a Bellew of the Week, mainly because I don't know who to actually give it to. But I thought it was funny in the Ruiz-Parker fight how they had Burger King right in the middle. Usually you have like a beer or energy drink or something in the middle of the ring. Last night they had Burger King in the ring. They had it on the ropes. They had it everywhere. And Ruiz was constantly sort of defending it. Like he would push Parker back, and then he would just stand on the symbol and sort of maintain the center of the ring. So I was maybe for Ruiz.
I saw someone say that the emblem inspired Andy Ruiz. You know, he saw the Burger King and he was like really going for it.
Hey, have any of you seen these fucking pictures Adam's just posted in the DM chat there about Maddie McCann?
No.
England fans are at the cricket basically, and in there is this message up saying, "So grateful my parents for bringing me to the cricket today. Great day so far." Madeline McCann.
They're in India, and they're basically any message that they send in goes up, and obviously there's no filtering system, and they've done some funny ones.
I came here in memory of my father Joseph, who loved to watch cricket with me in the basement of our home country Austria. Elizabeth.
Yeah, just taking it back to the boxing swiftly. Andy Ruiz's conditioning was freaking disgusting, wasn't it? When he sat on that stool, that overhanging gut.
But he made his debut at didn't he make like £298 or something? So
Yep.
he's
Correct.
weight. He was weight trained. That's the problem. He needs to
Oh, so my next one would be for some casual named Michael Minty at Michael Minty63 on Twitter. He tweeted this: "Sorry, I love JP, as in Joseph Parker, but since when can you be a world champ when you've still got to fight the #1 in Joshua? Hashtag only one champ."
Yeah.
So called him out on that one. We had one more, HBO, the HBO boxing. Let me find it here. They said at Joe Parker Boxer defeats at Andy Destroyer 13, 114, 114, 115, 113, 115, 113 by unanimous decision.
Mark Burdiss didn't write that, did he?
And I got one more from Thomas Williams Jr., who was watching the Showtime card last night. "I see people talking about J-Rock chin, so a mofo get dropped. He don't have a chin. Man, STFU. And then a minute after that, he tweeted, "Hold up, I didn't know that was a jab that dropped J-Rock dough."
Who the fuck wrote that? Fucking Adrian Broner.
I hate these cunts that can't spell and lines sometimes. Like, fucking hell.
I got a couple.
Go on, Donald.
The first one I have, this is about 6 days ago. It was right after our last pod, so I think it qualifies for this week.
Yep.
First Value of the Week nomination goes to the Kangaroo, who got totally bewildered. And he just basically, he just didn't have it that night. He
He's got a better chin than fucking J-Rock anyway, tell you that.
He got hit with a massive right hook. He just packed it in and just ran off. So I think the Kangaroo deserves.
Yeah, Donny, was the Kangaroo a better opponent than some that the WBO have put forward over
Actually,
recently?
you know what? Actually, the Kangaroo, Frank Warren is actually going to get him.
For Billy Joe.
He's the Kangaroo is ranked number 12 by the WBO, and apparently he's fighting a Warren fighter next. So
apparently the medical emails have come over and they couldn't translate, so the Kangaroo is not going to be coming over, unfortunately for us.
Couldn't translate from Australian.
Oh, poor friend.
So we got the Kangaroo. We also have Eddie Hearn, just for that pose that he struck, and Kurt Ward tweeted this out. It actually got 500 and something retweets. But that pose he struck when Chisora threw the fucking table over him. And so, Kurt, what did that tweet say?
When you're in the club buzzing off your tits and the DJ plays Rihanna.
Yeah, he looks like he's throwing up his arms in a sort of a a celebration, like he's ready to throw down. Yeah, it looked.
I love Chisora throwing that table on his head as well. I love Chisora now.
I bet see Mark Tibbs and that, he was fucking raging. I bet fucking Eddie and Callie had a couple of good lines of pure last night. Eh?
Tibbs was brilliant. He was like right in the camera, and he was like to Chisora,
"Fuck off, you cunt!
You're a cunt.
Fucking gone, you can't."
And then lastly,
he went on Danny Dyer on us, eh?
And then lastly, a Value Nom of the Week nomination to myself.
Liam Gallagher, sorry, for saying that Eddie Hearns, what was it say? Was it Louis Walsh, a fucking of boxing? What was it? Who was the name he fucking put up again?
I didn't see that one.
I'll find it now.
All right. Well, while he finds that, another one, a nomination to myself. So I sent out a tweet now. I don't know if anybody saw this, but apparently, all is not well in the world of Amir Khan. And I'm not talking about our podcast friend here, Amir Khan. I'm talking about the former
fake one,
the former junior welterweight unified champion Amir Khan. So apparently his wife is having some drama with the in-laws. So she sent out a bunch of very angry Instagram posts talking about how her in-laws are trying to break up their marriage. And I said, I tweeted out, I was like, if Amir Khan did not have such familial drama, infecting his training camp, he obviously would have beat Canelo Alvarez. so a lot of people took me to task for that. For that, I'll give myself a Value of the Week nomination.
Well done, Donny. Did you get that one, Andy?
I got it, mate. Apparently currently Liam Gallagher, Eddie Hearns is a Louis Walsh of boxing.
Liam Gallagher's got a couple of nominations. And I'm not going through all the nominations again because I can't be bothered. I'm going for Tommy Coyle. Hayato, who are you going for?
There's so many good ones. I'll just say David Haye because I hate the prick.
Okay, Donny?
Pass for right now. Hang on, I just need to review them. I have them all down here.
Andy?
David Hay, because he's a cunt.
Kurt?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tommy Coyle for that stupid tweet.
Yeah, 2 for Coyle, 2 for Hay. Then it could be resting on you. Donny?
I want to go for the guy that said that Andy Ruiz had the fastest hands since Muhammad Ali.
That was Bob Arum.
Oh, that was Arum?
Oh, I want to change my pick then. I'm going with Bob Arum as well. Fuck that. I missed that one. So I'm going for Bob Arum.
Okay, so we've got 2 for Arum and 2 for Tommy Coyle. I'm going to say that I'm going to give it to Coyle because, let's be honest, Coyle's not going to win anything more prestigious than the Bellew of the Week, is he, guys? Are you with me?
Nah, I agree with that, mate. It's we're above domestic level, so well done, Tommy, mate. You got above that finally.
Fucking Arum's 85 years old. He's lucky he can remember Muhammad Ali or Tommy Coyle or whatever he is, you know?
Suppose you can remember to go for a
Especially
second.
world level.
Right. Crying update. I can't hear anything from upstairs, so I'm going to plunder on for another couple of minutes. Hopefully everything's okay up there. Get through 3 more questions and then we'll jack it in for the night. Right, Kurt, we'll give it to you, Kurt, but this is one from our friend Jamaica on Twitter. He says, why do only some fights have a 10-second to go clapper? Was very clear on the Parker Ruiz fight, but couldn't hear one for AJ Molina. Or can you not hear them on TV sometimes, but they can be heard by the fighters? Sometimes, isn't it so much, Kurt, that you have someone just banging on the ring apron?
Yeah, they just have that little clapping noise. I think they all have it. It's just that, some of the crowd blocks it. But in the Ruiz Parker one, Ruiz actually thought it was the bell, didn't he? And he actually went to walk off, and then Parker went to punch him again when obviously.
Yeah.
But I think they all do it just to let them know. I mean, I don't really know why they do it, to be honest. I think it's just to get the ref ready for to break them up, I suppose. But it's just the way it is.
Oh, the feds are coming to get Kurt. Hopefully he'll be okay. Andy, question from Dave Smith. Why have Campbell, McDonnell and Brook not got called out for turning down Butler, Flanagan and Smith fights, respectively? Do you think it's as clear-cut as that?
What was the fights again?
Campbell. I've just gone and deleted it.
Hang on. Brook shouldn't get called out for anything. The guy just stepped up and got his face smashed in by Golovkin.
Yeah, I think he's on about Liam Smith, Donny, would he be?
Well, yeah, but my point is that he didn't knock anything back. The guy's recovering from a devastating beating. I don't even like Kell Brooks.
He's used to the beatings about the ring, though, Donny.
Huh?
He's used to the beatings about the ring.
But I'm a huge Amir Khan fan. I'm no defender of Kell Brook, but the guy needs a little time to recover after getting his orbital socket broken. I'm sure he'll come back and give us some good fights. But also, do we even know what's going on with Brook's promotional situation? But that's another story.
I think the obviously the one fight obviously is Crawler Flanagan. Now, I know he told us before the fighter basically should be demanding his promoter gets the fight made. It really depends how much they really take stock of their own careers. And that you didn't know how much. I know Frank says he offered 500,000 or whatever it was for Crawler. For whatever reason, they knocked it back. I really don't know the reason why they don't want to make that fight. It's these guys went to school together. I'm right in saying that they fucking grew up in the same area. They fucking support separate teams in Manchester, and they kind of get fucking the two of them in the ring to fight. There's something fucking wrong. Like something's far wrong here.
It is ridiculous, Andy. Right, hey to Dave Loback. Joey O has said, I had Chisora winning by 2 points last night. I felt he did the better work on the inside than White. The question is, are White and Chisora really that far from world level, considering the opponents that the current world champions are fighting?
I don't think they are that far off, no. And it was great to see Chisora back in shape, back with our man Don Charles last night. That's who we want to see Chisora. That's the form we want to see him in for the rest of his career if he continues. And he can be in great, at least domestic level fights continuously if he comes in like that. He can fight Dillian White level guys for the rest of his career, make some good money, and entertain the fans and be fine. World level is not all there is to boxing.
Chisora really reminds me a little bit, a little less crazy, but he reminds me a little bit of James Kirkland in the sense that he's got this one trainer who really understands him and who really works with him well. And when he's with that guy, he usually brings the best out of him. But when he's not with him, you're not seeing the best of him. And I mean, let's face it, Shazar is a little bit of a head case, and there's just something about Don Charles that just like I said, it can bring the best out of him. Not always, I mean, he was with Charles in the Fury fight, and he certainly didn't look his best there. But I mean, I just think in general, like, I mean, when Shazar's with Don Charles, he's got a better chance of putting in a really good performance than when he doesn't have them.
Fair point, Donny. Kurt, we're on to the final two now. Ricky Gravel asks you, if James DeGale and George Groves win their next fights, can you see Eddie putting back Callum Smith mandatory for a Groves-DeGale unification?
Well, as a fan, yeah, I'd rather see that myself, but it's hard to say of Eddie what he'd want to do. I mean, because he's tough to say, because he'll keep saying Callum Smith's going to get in line with him, but surely he'll want the DeGale Groves pay-per-view. I mean, how many fights has DeGale got left with him? It's funny to say. I think someone said one fight left, and so I don't know if that's the case, or maybe DeGale's more with Heyman now. Then he'll push for Callum Smith to get the shot. But yeah, personally, I'd hope to see the rematch between those two instead of Callum Smith.
Okay, final one. I'm going to ask everybody this. I want a yes or no answer. No more, thank you. From the Boxing Inquirer. It's our friend Ben who designed the website. And it's quite simple. First to you, Dave the Hater Lowback. Was Eddie Hearn's pay-per-view last night worth the 17 quid? Yes or no? Dave?
No.
Donny?
In retrospect, yes. Beforehand, no.
Andy?
Absolutely fucking not.
Curtis?
Nope.
And that does it. I am going to say no, even though I did enjoy the card. I don't think it was worth the money, but you never know. It could have been more. Right, let's get out of here, guys. Thanks to Dave the Hater Lowback for jumping on. Donny Baseball, Andy Patterson, Kurt Ward. That's all we've got left. Adam Smith was on the line as well. Tommy the Guru Allen was on the line, believe it or not, but his Wi-Fi was that bad. He wasn't able to join us. It seemed like an eternity ago that we had Richard Allen on, who was at the show last night. Michael Conlon, special thanks to Michael for giving up his time and coming to speak to us. And of course, Amir Khan on fine form, treading the streets of Manchester, obliterated out of his senses. If I've forgotten anybody, then apologies, but we shall speak to you all next week. Thanks for listening, guys. All the best.
Tommy Allen, shout it.